And we're live. Yo, what's up? Welcome to OK Beast's E3 2018 live show. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing, Adeoye. Joining me, we have three guests. I guess, Moises, are you technically a guest? Can I call you a guest?
No.
Since you're part of the brand.
Unfortunately, yeah, I'm inextricably tied to you.
We have one member of OK Beast and two joining guests. So first, we have Moises, the member of OK Beast. How's it going, Moises?
Hi, what's up, man? I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you feeling this E3?
I am exhausted.
Yeah.
You gave me responsibilities.
I did give you responsibilities.
Hard.
Yeah. How's it? So for those who don't know, you headed up the whole writing section of OKB. So all the articles people saw this week, all of the written stuff, that's you. I mean, you're not writing it all, but you're essentially
I'm
leading
writing it all.
You're writing it all. Yeah, you're writing multiple articles a day, going ham, killing it.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. I'm I was placed in charge of organizing freelancers, which means harassing them in Discord like every night, see where they're at with their pieces. Usually editing until like 3 in the morning my time. And then for the first few days, like waking up early to then catch the press conferences as well. Now it's just a lot of editing people. And I think we were generally supposed to meet like one article per person, so that it would be like 5 articles for basically the 5 real days of E3. And that like doubled. So I still have, I actually added an extra piece onto my workload today, and I still have a few more coming in the next 2 days, because I was gonna shut it down tomorrow, but we have enough content to run through Friday. So.
Yeah, dude, let me tell you, I should say this live on air, because usually when I'm talking about you on air, I'm usually saying very negative things, but you have been killing it this week. Like, we've gotten multiple messages, like multiple tweets of people being like, man, OKB's content is awesome this week, and most of what they're referring to is the writing, are the articles. I think there was one article from today about Last of Us, and was that your cat? That's awesome, because you warned us before about your cat. Your cat sounds like a lion mixed with a vacuum.
Oh,
that's
my
hilarious.
God.
But yeah, like there's an article I wanted by Caitlin Gallows-Rowe today that people should check out on okbeast.com. That was pretty awesome. And yeah, all throughout the week we've had awesome articles regarding E3. So shout out to Moises for leading that. And also I should say, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say shout out to like the team, which consists of Caitlin Gallows-Rowe, like he said, Seamus Mullins. I know Dylan's probably more familiar with him.
He's an Australian, so I own him.
Exactly. I keep thinking that he's like from the UK, and I forgot that he actually just went there to cover Battlefield. But he's actually an Aussie. He's been working on like content while we're asleep, which has been really helpful to have ready to go. I got John Seminario, who's a constant contributor already on OK Beast, who's been killing it. And we still have Chase Williams, who is like prepping an article right now that will hopefully be up very, very soon. So yeah, shout out to those guys for killing it, and you like typically making my job easier.
It's an all-star team, and I turned Seamus's Dying Light 2 article into a video. And it was very gracious of him to allow us to do that, and I think it ended up being a really good video. So shout out to that. Also, for those watching / listening, however you're ingesting this, if we have any technical issues, let us know. This is all pretty much put together with duct tape. I have like 2 laptops I'm working off of right now, and I have one laptop being HDMI'd to a second laptop. I have no Ethernet cable, and I'm on a not a Hangouts, but like a Discord chat with streaming going on the second laptop. And so my internet's being put to the test right now. And yeah, we're hanging on by a thread, but I think it all looks and sounds good. And if I need to turn people up, or if people need to turn themselves down, let us know in the chat, and we'll make sure to fix that. Next up, we have Fiona Mackinnon. Hey, Fiona.
Hey.
How's it going?
Oh, you just heard. So that was. It's been going good. Other than that, it's been going great.
Awesome.
E3 is amazing. So
for people who might not know you, who are you?
So I am Fiona, also known as Fee. I am a Twitch streamer. I go by Zeranix and on Twitch and Twitter. I am also a part of the Kind of Funny community. I have been a part of the community for 4 years, 3 or 4 years at this point. Oh God,
Probably since the beginning, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And I'm actually the co-captain for the Kind of Funny Extra Life. So we have been working on that stuff, which is super exciting. And then my entire life is gonna like vamp up probably in the next month or so because we're gonna try to do a lot of stuff with that. So yeah, but other than that, I do Twitch and I do artwork as well. So I've been doing a lot of that recently.
On twitch.tv/Zeranix, correct? How do you spell Zeranix?
You guys always make fun of me when I say this.
People have to know.
So it's Z or Z anywhere else. You are ANIIX.
Awesome. So yeah, check Fee out there. And yeah, Extra Life is awesome, especially Team Kind of Funny for Extra Life. I think that's how I think the second time me and Alex met, was through Extra Life. Because the first time I met Alex was through Kind of Funny Live, and then like we became friends, and I think the next Extra Life we did a huge Extra Life thing where we got together, did this whole Alex V Bless thing, and so wow, that cat is amazing. That's awesome. It's like legit. Is it a boy or girl?
It's a girl.
It's a girl. It sounds like it's like I don't know how to describe that sound. It legitimately sounds like a broken vacuum mixed with like a tiger. So yeah, extralife.org/kind of funny team. What is it? Do you know?
It's kindoffunny.com/extralife, but I think right now it's currently redirecting you to E3 stuff, so we have to get that fixed.
Makes sense. Okay, awesome. And last up we have Dylan Blight of Australia. Correct. Dylan of Australia. For those who don't know who you are, who are you?
I'm Dylan Blight of Australia, from the southern regions of Tasmania, which the main continent of Australia likes to disown. So I make sure that whenever I'm talking to American people, I shout out the area that most of Australia likes to forget and never mention. But I'm actually part of Australia. It's not disconnected. New Zealand's not part of Australia. Though. Okay. Just to clarify that for the Americans, they're their own thing. We don't associate them. Internet-wise, explosionnetwork.com, podcasts, YouTube's, twitch.tv, all those things. Written stuff as well.
Awesome.
That's where my thing is.
So you do everything, essentially.
Yeah, a bit of everything.
You're like an all-star.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks.
Awesome. You mentioned New Zealand. The only reason I know that New Zealand exists is because there was a movie called the Rocket Power movie. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rocket Power.
Jesus Christ.
Rocket Power was a cartoon back in the day. Like, it was a Nickelodeon cartoon back in the same day of like Rugrats, where it was a lot of
Rugrats.
Yeah, like essentially during the same time Rugrats, it was a cartoon where like it was essentially like skateboarding and hockey and extreme sports. That was all what the cartoon was about. It was kids playing extreme sports. And in the movie special, they went to New Zealand and did this whole thing in New Zealand. And I was like, what's in New Zealand? If they all sound like Australians. So yeah, shout out to New Zealand for having a part in Rocket Power.
We don't sound the same.
No?
We don't sound the same at all. No.
Interesting.
Don't sound the same at all. That's
what's the difference?
In fact,
you guys say like one word differently?
Well, we're all like, oi, fucking boomerangs and shit. And they're like, oh, fucking, Kiwis are great and stuff.
I knew you couldn't help yourself. I knew you were going to say Kiwi.
That's amazing.
Oh, dear God.
All right, so we're of course here to talk about E3 2018. E3, we had a lot of great game announcements. We had a lot of great trailers, a lot of great new details about a lot of games we love. So let me start off with asking you guys this, and I'll start with Fiona. Fiona, what was your favorite part of E3 this year?
Fallout, definitely. I was super excited about it. One, because that's my only prediction I got right this year. So I think that's pretty much my favorite. There was a number of I said that there was going to be a new Fallout,
Okay.
and Nikki and Sean didn't believe me.
Mm.
So I think I did pretty good.
Hey, you killed it.
I killed it. So I've been really excited about that. The 30 minutes that they had in Bethesda was really great. So I think that was my insane, like, super exciting moment. But there were a number of other things. I was like, man, I'm actually interested in that game now. So
Awesome. So for Fallout 76, for those who may not be familiar, that's essentially the new Fallout game. They've added more survival elements. It's going to be online. They've kind of added more to the settlement building. It's a prequel essentially to Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and I guess Fallout 1.
I think
and
it's
Fallout
the
2.
earliest Fallout game, period.
Yeah.
actually.
yeah.
And essentially the whole thing about this game is rebuilding. Moises, how are you feeling about Fallout 76? Do you like what they had to show?
I actually did.
Yeah?
I feel like I was one of the people who was definitely down on Fallout 76. Once the reports started coming out that it was going to be an online game, and Todd Howard, or as I called him in our Google Doc, God Howard, he did the thing that he had to do, which was exactly what he did for Fallout 4, which was extensively roll out, like the red carpet for that game and tell us all about it. And I think I'm still not completely on board with the fact that it's online.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't like the whole there are nuke silos like all around the map.
That's an interesting thing.
That seems just antithetical to the themes of Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
And then like on a more like mechanical side, it's like the implementation of trolling sort of. But I think the reduced scale of the multiplayer that he said, that it's going to be like dozens rather than hundreds or thousands, I think that's right around where I would want it. I think with 4 times the map of like Fallout 4, that's exactly how many people should be populating that. And also I liked Fallout 4 actually a lot, and more of that with some friends doesn't sound the worst.
Yeah.
Also, they have cool new enemies that I've never fucking seen, like that Scorch Beast. That's
Dude,
like it's like a bat. Yeah. I don't
the
know.
flying thing looked crazy. I don't know if like the bat looking thing. And is the Scorch Beast like the weird giant blob kind of looking guy, or is that something else?
The Scorch Beast was like the bat. That,
okay.
Flies around and fucking has like supersonic blasts.
Gotcha. There was like a thing that looked like a man with like a gigantic growth on top of him. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That thing looked freaky.
Yeah.
And like I was with you actually, boys, is where like before E3, I was kind of apprehensive about Fallout 76, but post the Bethesda conference, they kind of squashed a lot of my apprehension. Like, because like with Fallout being online, I didn't really think that. I feel like that was kind of antithetical to what you'd kind of want from a Fallout game, because I feel like Fallout's about story, and it's about like it's about quests, and it's about like kind of wandering a world by yourself. Like you're literally called the Lone Wanderer.
And here's where we can plug that piece that John Seminario did for us on exactly that. He likes playing those games a lot because he sort of likes being alone in those worlds. He likes he likes the quieter moments. He's not really too much in it for the characters, but he is the biggest fan of just having the liberty to explore those spaces without distractions, which is sort of what a lot of open world multiplayer games like that tend to have. So those were his concerns and like some of my concerns going into it. But I think just like you that Bethesda did exactly what they had to do for that game, and I think it could turn out good. I'm gonna pre-order so that I can get that beta, and then I'll have more thoughts after that, because I'm assuming that's gonna run late summer, somewhere maybe in September. And so I'm looking forward to getting hands-on time with that.
Awesome. Snarky Starky in the chat says Moises out here forgetting you could nuke Megaton in Fallout 3.
That is true.
Do you have a response,
yes.
Moises?
Yes, that is a thing that is available in Fallout 3, and I mean, I definitely think that definitely factored in to their decision to introduce it. I think they probably perceived it as them, imbuing their sense of morality into the online component. Uh, but I think like ultimately there's gonna be that party of people in every server that's gonna go around killing people looking for those for those launch codes so that they can launch those nukes all over the place. And so I think that like yeah, it's absolutely a plot point in Fallout 3. I think not every component of those games and every detail of those games is going to carry over to multiplayer how they might have thought it would.
Dylan, do you have any Fallout 76 thoughts?
I watched the no clip thing yesterday about it, which helped me with a lot of the details and after the E3 conference because I was getting so hyped. I was down on it going into it because I was kind of like, oh, Fallout shit. That doesn't really sound that interesting to me. And then when they come out and he owns the stage and I start seeing more of the game, I'm like, yes, I'm coming around. But I feel like that was a reaction for a lot of people that weren't so amped on the idea from the get-go. And then watching the Daniel Dwyer no-clip documentary yesterday was helping answer a lot more questions. And from what I could gather for the nuke thing, I don't think you can pick exactly where it goes. Like there's select areas that the bombs have to go when you click on the map. So they are designated and they're not specifically, you can just set one off right outside the vault where everyone's going to be walking out. And they explained other things like you can't set up camp right outside the vault where everyone's going to be walking out because they don't want people just griefing outside there. So they are taking into account these things. And like the big Scorch monster things, they're basically like the raid boss levels. From what I got it. So it's like,
all right,
you have to beat those to get the codes, and then with the codes you have to solve some level of puzzles to be able to even get to the nuke asylums, and then in the asylums you have to set off codes somewhere. It was all confusing, but it seemed several parts to it, and it was like them talking about end game content. That's the reason they added it. Like they was talking about what do people do at the end of 76 once they've done everything else, they're high level, what is our end game content? And instead of just coming up with the idea for raids, they did this nuke asylum stuff that's supposed to be for the high level players to take on. And I mean, the parts of the map that you blow up, the enemies in there apparently drop rarer loot once they're blown up, like the enemies are more toxic or whatever. And then they're going to drop higher level gear, and that's how like the map progresses. But because, I mean, if you get sick of a map where the nukes have all gone off in those areas, you can just jump server to a server where the nukes haven't gone off anyway, if you want to play on one where the nukes haven't gone off. So there are options, I guess. But I'm excited to play it. I like the idea of being able to wander around and only bump into, I think they was talking like 24 max players or whatever it was. They haven't like locked it in officially. But
yeah, they've only said like dozens.
Yeah, a dozen or something, but it's like a map 4 times the size of Fallout. I feel like even if you're just playing solo, you could spend hours wandering around and never bump into anyone, or hear gunshots off in the distance, and know that. And the fact that there's no NPCs in the game that are humans, it's going to be another player. That's going to add the level of scariness to it as you're playing. Of course, like are they friendly? Are they going to shoot me? So that's fun. And then the idea of being able to team up with three other people is exciting. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm worried because it's Bethesda and I know what Fallout games are like. I'm worried it's just going to crash and be a complete mess for the first 6 months. That is my biggest worry about it.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. Like even like the idea of VATS, how's that going to work? Like is the shooting going to work by itself? And like Alex Van Aken shared an article this morning with us that was about. That was from IGN, and I think they were saying that VATS is, or I don't know if it was from IGN. It was from some news source. It was saying that VATS is present in Fallout 76, but it's like apparently like real time or something. And so yeah, it's gonna be interesting the more we see of that game and the more they kind of talk about and try to sell people on it. But yeah, I'm excited to see what it is. But in the same topic of Bethesda, they came out after Fallout 76 and they announced Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. Which I think was an interesting decision to kind of come out and talk about that. Do you guys have any feelings about like what those could be or like why they would come out and say that? Moises, I'm sure you got thoughts.
I actually probably have the least thoughts. Elder Scrolls 6 is barely a game point.
Mhm.
I they just wanted to get out ahead of it, because everybody's been asking for it since basically the day that Skyrim came out. And that's fine. I think that game's nowhere near completion. I think that game's nowhere near release. I think
it started.
yeah, no, like they pretty much just said like, yeah, that game is still in like
Yeah,
pre-production.
like, it's gonna be on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, whereas Starfield is further along. Like that's been in active production and development for, I think they said something like 3-4 years now. I
think the trailers are in order, right? So Fallout 76,
the trailers were in order,
Starfield trailer, and then you can take that Elder Scrolls up. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I
so
saw
Starfield will happen.
Oh yeah, Starfield will maybe be this gen. Will maybe come out on the PS4.
I think it comes out 2020.
2020.
He said both those trailers they were showing were for next gen.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize
before
that.
he introduced them. Yeah.
Man.
So both these things we're about to show you are for next gen, and then we got the Starfield trailer, and then we got the Elder Scrolls trailer. So.
It's really interesting because like upon seeing that. Oh, Moises, did you have something to say?
They started hinting at the new Xbox at the conference.
Yeah.
And I think like an executive from I think the Asian branch maybe did like an interview and said something like, "Oh, it might be like codename Scarlet, and they're like getting it ready for release in 2020." So, Starfield launch game?
That's not out there. That's not too far out there. I think I can see it.
That could be the start of a tremendously strong launch lineup.
And like even think of it on the PlayStation side, right? Like Death Stranding could maybe be that. And like I think there's been word that Cyberpunk could also be like, you know, those games that kind of straddle both generations that release on like current gen and next gen. I can see both Death Stranding and Cyberpunk being that, with Starfield also being there for the start of next gen. And if that's the case, like if we get those 3 games on the first year of next gen, that is crazy. That's absolutely insane. Let's go with actually let me read from the chat real quick because I saw a few things. I think somebody asked Jaquise Films says, hey, is this going to be put out as a podcast episode? I think that's something we'll probably talk about after this whole thing is done, after the stream is done, to kind of figure out, because quality comes into play. I think we want to put like quality stuff on the podcast feed, and if we have technical issues and all this stuff, it might be harder to like turn into a podcast, but we'll see. I'll have to talk to the rest about it, but it'll live on the YouTube channel. And so after this is done, you'll still be able to go back and click this stream or this video, the stream as a video, and so this will be available no matter what. And from the 46 says this channel finna blow, which I think is a positive thing. And so thank you from the 46. Thank you. Next thing I want to talk about, let's go to Moises. What was your favorite part of E3?
Damn. I mean, probably just getting that Cyberpunk trailer.
Dude.
At the end of the Microsoft conference.
Yeah.
Actually, not even. Hearing everybody's impressions after has been way more exciting than seeing that trailer. Everybody talking about that game says it is fucking wild.
It sounds like my type of game. Like, because I love Deus Ex, and the way people go into that game, the way they just, here's the thing. I love Deus Ex, and I love Grand Theft Auto. Like, those are 2 games that I absolutely love. And so for people to come out of that conference being like, it seems like an expanded Deus Ex with more RPG elements and a world you can drive around like GTA. I'm like, yo, that's hitting me right here. Like, right in the D for Nintendo 64. Not the D. I'm talking about the D.
Hit you right in the D.
Right, it hits me right in the D. It hits me right in the D.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Hit me right in my D too.
I'm saying, dude. Dylan, how do you feel about Cyberpunk
Jesus
2077?
Christ.
How do you feel about the trailer and what's been said about it?
I'm amped. I feel like everyone's amped though. My number one, I can't stop watching people talking about it, and even though they're talking about the same things I've heard a million times, but that's how I can tell it's like one of my favorite games. Is like you watch the GameStop stream, you watch the IGN stream, you watch the Kind of Funny stream. I was watching Daniel Juarez Periscope thing, and they're all talking about the same demo, and you're hearing the same things, but just quite a little bit different. But you're still like, yes, tell me how much you love this game. I love hearing about how much you love this.
Yeah.
My number one thing that I have heard that got me excited is the So they talk about how The Witcher was a very flat game, very open, big world, buildings you don't go into much. This one, they're saying it's more about you're going to have all these big skyscraper type buildings that you're going to be able to go into and climb up or climb into. Tight corridors, you know, some drug cartel type places or whatever could own these buildings and take them down. Straight away, I'm thinking Dread, the movie, if anyone's watched
I
it.
think Danny
Yes.
said that like within the first minute of his stream. He was like, it reminds me of the city block that they locked down in Dread.
Yes.
And I was like, fuck yeah, give me that.
I want a mission where you go into a tower or something and you get like locked in and you just have to be a badass running through these corridors and stuff. And the guns just excite me. Like they're talking about the gun where you can shoot through walls, which just reminds me of the Auger from Resistance, which is like one of my favorite guns in any FPS.
That's awesome.
Like that gun is like one of the best. So, that's great. The ability that you got these guns that you can shoot bullets off walls. And someone I was thinking about it this morning. I had a weird moment where I'm like, I've not played any new FPSs all year. Any new. The only first-person shooter I've picked up is like I played a little bit of Battlefront 2 for fun, and that is it. So and I was kind of getting sick of them because they're all very samey to me. You know, I'm not the kind of guy who picks up Call of Duty every year. Battlefield I might pick up this year, but FPS is hit or miss for me. But I'm getting very excited for this because it sounds on an RPG level interesting because of course it's CG Project Red, but then on an FPS level it also just sounds really interesting and doing a lot of different things that we haven't seen before. So it's just hitting every mark for me. I can't wait.
Awesome. Fiona, what about you? Are you excited about Cyberpunk?
I haven't heard too much about it just because I know I was definitely early on the Fallout train. There was a number of other things I was super excited about. But when I saw Cyberpunk, I was like, this looks badass. I'm super excited for it. As people who've watched my streams, I'm terrible at FPSs. So, I mean, I'll still play it. I'll deal with it, and it'll be pretty entertaining when I get constantly destroyed over and over again. But
I can confirm this is very fun to watch on her stream.
this is, it ends up with me swearing a lot, and I'm trying to swear, like, at all. So I overall, like, I agree, it definitely gives me some Dread vibes. So I'm really excited. The art style alone and just like the color choices, I'm super pumped about. So
awesome.
Overall, I'm super excited.
Dylan, what about you? What was your favorite game from the show?
I feel like Cyberpunk's probably my favorite game, but my favorite runner-up and moment, my one OMG moment that I have forever cemented, because I did reacts to them all, was the Beyond Good and Evil 2 Jade reveal. That was like one moment of the show where I was like, what? I did get so excited. And this is a game that, so the first game it's one of those games I played as a kid. I haven't played it for so many years. So if someone was trying to test me on like, oh, do you remember like all the lore details? I'd be like, man, I haven't played it for years. Don't try and judge me. I can still say I'm a big fan of the game, but I haven't played it for years. But like it's such an attachment inside me from playing that as a kid several times, and love that game. And seeing her come on and just flipping out because you're like, but she's the good guy. Why is she? Why is she the bad guy? She's got a sword of blood on it. I'm so confused. That was my one flip out moment. And outside that, I think that game's just doing a lot of really interesting things from what the small things we've seen of it, the ability to jump in and out of your ship on the fly, and it just looks to be a very fast paced action brawler type game, I guess, where you're going to be involve a lot of co-op. I don't know if it's shared world. We don't really know too much, but it's doing a lot of interesting things. The whole Space Monkey program is interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
You guys have an article on it. Read that.
Thank you.
Yeah, plug okbeats.com. Check it out. We got an article on the whole.
I wrote that article. Yeah. It's interesting to say the least what they're doing in terms of like how they're including their fans very heavily in the development of this game. I'm interested to see how it works out. I hope it works out well. But yeah, it's definitely a thing to watch.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm kind of in the same place where like the Beyond Good and Evil is a game I never played, but like Beyond Good and Evil 2 looks like it's gonna be cool. I was very confused last year when they announced it, and they've made it very clear that like, hey, we are extremely early in this game, like extremely early in developing this game. Way too early to even be talking about it, but like I think Ubisoft was in an interesting place with the whole like Vivaldi takeover, or not Vivaldi? No, is it Vivaldi?
Vivendi.
Who's Vivaldi? Sorry, I was thinking of Dylan's.
Vivaldi is The classical
Viva la
musician.
Dill.
I was thinking of Viva La
I was
Dill.
gonna say it sounds like Viva La Dill.
That's Dylan's Twitter handle. So yeah, the Vivendi takeover, I think, put them in an interesting place where they're like, hey, we gotta like up that market share somehow. And so that was pretty interesting to see that they came out and talked about that, and it's interesting to see them return to this E3 and talk about it again and kind of push that whole thing forward with creating with their fans and all this stuff. And like I think there's some cool things about that, but also like Moises talked about, there's some weird things about that. But all in all, like I'm interested to see where this game goes. As somebody from the outside looking in for Beyond Good and Evil 2, I'm like, yo, this whole thing looks cool. Like I like monkeys, I like space, like I like black women, so like all this stuff looks interesting.
Those are the 3 boxes you gotta check.
Yeah, you just gotta check those boxes. And so, yeah, it looks interesting. I'm excited to see where it goes. But yeah, I have a list of games here. Now that we talk about like our favorite things from E3, I have a list of games here that I want to talk about. We're not gonna get through all of them because we have like 30 minutes left between the 3 of us, 4 of us, before we move on to the next round of people. But one game I want to talk about is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Mainly because Fiona, I asked you like, hey, is there anything you specifically want to talk about? Kind of in a search for trying to figure out the different topics and stuff. And so let's talk about it, because I'm a person who's not too into Assassin's Creed, but I saw that trailer for Assassin's Creed Odyssey and I saw some of the sword combat and I was like, that looks kind of cool. Fiona, Fiona, where are you at with Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
So here's the deal. I'm not a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I never have been. I tried to play Origins and it glitched out where a camel cart went over a house and it was just like doo 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 and flew, and I'm like, nope, this isn't for me.
That's amazing.
So I kind of gave up and I'm like, you know what? Like, I know for a fact they're going to talk about Assassin's Creed this year, and I was like, oh God, Assassin's Creed, like, God forbid there's like a whole other one. But like the second that it came up on the screen, I'm like, this doesn't give me Assassin's Creed vibes, which is kind of weird. It's just kind of like, okay, I'm kind of digging it. And then I'm like, okay, I hear Leonidas, now I'm interested. And then like, there's now a female and I'm like, okay, sweet. And then it's just like, oh, and you can have a relationship with anyone. And I'm like, okay, like this seems complete. Like, I think the aspects of what an Assassin's Creed game is that I didn't enjoy is now not there, and then there's like a bunch of other aspects that are not Assassin's Creed-y.
That stuff is gone. Like anything that like you might have not liked from that series, gone.
I know, and that's why I'm
entirely different series.
I'm like, so where can I give you my money? Like, I just want to play this game. Like, I'm just like,
I'm the same way, because I haven't played Assassin's Creed since Assassin's Creed 2. Like, I played the first 2, and by the time I got halfway through the second one, I was like, this isn't for me. Like, I understand why people like this game. It's not my jam. But like seeing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and like kind of being kind of blind from every other Assassin's Creed, coming back in at Assassin's Creed Odyssey and looking at it, I'm like, man, this looks like it did fix like a lot of my issues with Assassin's Creed, where the combat looks interesting. Like they added dialogue options. There's the whole romance thing. You can choose what kind of you can choose your character that you play as. Moises, are you an Assassin's Creed fan?
I haven't been for a while. The last one that I played was, I think, Black Flags, which at the time felt like a huge series for. I think I've come to realize that like that series wasn't like, it was never as high up there in terms of like the stealth games as like I would put Metal Gear Solid. Its open world was like never as good as any GTA game to me. And I think like I unfairly gave Origins shit for kind of embracing the RPG systems and kind of becoming almost Dark Souls-ish in its combat. And I actually think now, looking at Odyssey, that if those structures completely go away and give way to like Dark Souls combat, you know, give way to dialogue choices that give way to romance, the year that like Anthem is coming out and BioWare's like, no, we're not doing any romances in this game, I think Odyssey has a very good chance of having me buy it. I think Odyssey has a really good chance of being like the standout Assassin's Creed game, actually. I think like Origins is going to be looked at as like the game that sort of set Assassin's Creed on this new track, and I think Odyssey is going to like slam dunk on that.
That's awesome. So before we get into the next game, there's a question that I was supposed to ask you off the top, but I totally forgot to ask you guys because we were so deep in conversation. But let's start off with the most important question regarding E3, which is, where do you guys stand on the debate between crepes versus pancakes? Because I'm very much a crepe guy, right? Like, crepes are off the chain, but, you know, I feel like when I talk to people, people are more on the side of pancakes. And so, Dylan, where you at, crepes or pancakes?
I don't understand the difference.
Man, do they?
What?
Are crepes not a thing in Australia?
I don't think so. What's the difference?
So crepes, they're like,
Are they the smaller ones?
they're more, so they're a lot more eggy. They are smaller. There's
Pikelets.
there's like wait, what now?
Pikelets.
I have no idea what that word means. Is that what they call them in Australia?
Pikelets.
How do you eat them?
The small pancake things you put jams and stuff on them.
Okay, so like, yeah, the thing about
Pikelets.
crepes is you put a lot more toppings and like jams on them, and like you can do savory or sweet with them. Does that sound about right?
For the sake of the argument, I'll say
Yes.
pancakes.
Oh my
'cause
god. Fiona, crepes or pancakes?
So it depends. I should say like, oh, I like pancakes because maple syrup, Canada, but
That's
ju-
exactly what you're gonna say.
For house and
No.
country.
I mean, I'm kind of a crepe person because okay, here's the reason. I'm gonna explain. So I have like, when it comes to pancakes, I can only have like one or two, and then I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm dying inside because one, that's too much dough. Two, too much sugar. I'm sorry, Canada, but holy crap, maple syrup, guys, is way too sugary. And
Yeah,
So I'm
that
more-
is true.
like, my grandparents used to make this kind of like pancake that was like a pancake but like on the thinner side, so it was like in between a crepe and a pancake. So I'm not going to try to like, how do I say this, I'm not going to try to like weasel my way out of the question, so I'll say crepe because I like a thinner pancake because I don't enjoy huge massive amounts of dough.
Fair enough. And that's the correct
I'm
answer.
sorry,
also.
Moises.
That's the
I'm
correct answer.
sorry.
Moises,
I'm not even really upset at you, Fee. I'm upset at Blessing because I thought when he forgot the question that it was just not gonna come up.
Oh,
This would be
no.
a legit
Oh no!
podcast.
I look back at my itinerary. I was like, oh, I forgot the most important part. Moises, crepes or pancakes?
It's not called the International House of Crepes,
It's not called the International House of Pancakes either.
but it was for a time.
It's now the
For a good long time.
International
it was,
House of
alright?
Burgers. Let's talk about Death Stranding. And so, at the PlayStation conference, what are you eating, Moises?
I'm
Is that
actually
lemon?
eating my namesake. I'm eating plátanos.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like a pikelet.
What? What is that?
Plantain.
Plantains. Yeah, these are
Oh,
pressed and
Yeah,
fried.
he's Dominican, so that's what they do. That's what actually my people do too. Actually, let's talk about Death Stranding. So Death Stranding was shown at the PlayStation conference, and it looked like they showed a lot of gameplay, which was a surprise because, you know, like, when is this game gonna come out? Probably not soon, but it seems like it's trucking along pretty well. So, but yeah, what did you guys get out of that Death Stranding trailer? Because it was a lot to kind of process, you know. Let's start with Dylan.
Look, I prefer the short film nonsense stuff because I felt more excited when I didn't see what felt like an hour of a man walking.
Yeah.
Like, I played, quote unquote, the walking simulator. I play a lot of those games. This just, like, I don't understand this game. I don't understand what I was watching. It went on for way too long. I was like, cool, it looks pretty. Sure, landscapes, draw distance goes up. Character models look great. There's a lot of stuff on his back there. That's probably not good for your posture going forward. But I don't understand why I'd want to play this. There was not a single moment where I was like, I really want to play the game that I'm watching currently. I don't, like, story-wise and theme-wise, some of the creepier moments where we see the creatures and all that stuff, cool. That's interesting. Gameplay-wise, I don't know why I want to play this. It looks boring.
I saw a comment
That's then.
on Twitter, or it might have been YouTube, that was like, one person asked like, "What is this game?" and another person what's this what's the gameplay of this game? And somebody replied, "It's a walking simulator." Like that's like really really what you can get from the trailer, because like it's a weird game in the sense that it from what you get from that trailer, right? It's Norman Reedus just walking on the biggest open world you've ever seen, very empty, in the most empty open world you've ever seen, and like he just has different stuff on his back, you know, and like the only reason why I am paying attention to this game remotely is because of Kojima, the man who made Metal Gear Solid, my favorite game series. And so, like, I'm at the point where I am lying on my back and I'm like, feed me all the grapes into my mouth, Kojima. And he's just like, one at a time, just feeding them to me. And I'm like, yes, please, please. And like, some of the grapes are weird. Yeah.
If someone else other than Kojima showed this game, if someone who we didn't know came out and showed you this trailer of Norman Reedus wandering around going, I'm a freaking delivery man, look at all the stuff on my back, it's great, you'd be like, what is this nonsense?
Yeah, like could you imagine if Hello Games came out and they showed us this? Like we'd just be like
torn to shreds.
Yeah, we would riot, and we would roast them so hard that they would delete their Twitter. You know, and
I wouldn't, because I'm a good boy, but
yeah, it would turn us all into bad people. Fiona, how are you feeling about that Death Stranding trailer?
So I'm really excited about it. I think it looks really cool. It took me like a little while to realize what the creatures reminded me of. So the whole point of like these invisible like beings, it kind of reminds me. I don't know. I'm gonna go into my little anime pocket here and pull out.
I knew it.
Elfen Lied. If you know what Elfen Lied is, or Elfen Lid, whatever you like to pronounce it as, it's essentially about these girls with pink hair and have this ability to rip people to shreds. Literally to shreds. And one thing is, you realize midway through, sorry, spoilers, it's 15 years old. Get over it. They're essentially these invisible hands coming out of their back. And depending on your strength or your level or like whatever it is, they don't really go into too much detail in the anime. These like invisible hands come up behind them and just rip people apart. So it's not just like the like mental ability. It's just these like really creepy hands that you get to see midway through the anime. So it really reminded me of that. So I was really excited. I was fortunate enough, because I was watching Three Best Friends live streamed, that I actually didn't see the toenail getting ripped off, which apparently was super gory. I didn't see it because it was censored. I heard some pretty terrible things, but I'm overall really excited. Kojima definitely created one of the most terrifying demos I've ever played in my absolute life. So yeah, a game that should have taken 30 minutes took me 2.5 hours and a lot of crying, but it's okay because it was a very interesting situation and like overall entertaining time. But I definitely agree. If it was anyone else who came out and said, hey, here's a guy carrying around a baby and you like this,
the baby's inside of him and we're gonna start off the trailer with a butt, like it was so weird, but I'm interested. Moises, where are you at?
I have no idea what the fuck to make of that game anymore. Okay, so I like Kojima games fine. Metal Gear Solid 4 is the only like Metal Gear Solid that I really care for like that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say it was the only one that you played, and I was about to be like, man.
No.
Okay.
I've played. I mean, I've played a bit of 1, and I've played like 2, 3, and 4 to completion.
And played the best one.
5? Are you gonna say 5 is the best one?
Yeah,
I don't care for 5 at all. I played that game and hated it. But that's a take for somewhere else.
I'm hurt.
Death Stranding. I really don't know what to make of that game. I'm kind of tired of seeing it at this point. It makes less sense every time, which is exactly how that's not supposed to work. And I think just because it's Kojima, people are really into it, and I am not. That thing looked ridiculous. Although, yeah, like the models look good. The world looks big as hell. I think there's probably some interesting things there because I think the rain is like supposed to accelerate time for whatever it touches. He's supposed to be doing something weird with death in the game. those creepy things that his shoulder beacon picks up look like properly creepy. I think like the elements are there for a good game. I think he's doing the worst possible job showing it.
Really?
And so,
What?
yeah,
Man,
yeah.
I'm on the
Moises.
opposite side of I think he's doing
What the?
he's doing what Kojima does, right? Where he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna release some weird," because he makes weird games, right? Like if Metal Gear Solid was, if you came out and you showed the first hour of Metal Gear Solid 5, right? Like I think we get a lot of the same reactions that we're getting now, but like you get into that game and it's like, "Oh yeah, this game's awesome. This game makes complete sense," and like it's so weird that the Death Stranding trailers are so weird that they're doing like the marketing just like it markets itself, right? People talk about it. You listen to any podcast, any gaming podcast, and people are trying to pick it apart for 10 minutes and kind of try to define what it means. And like people, in terms of marketing, right, it does a really good job of getting that discussion going.
No, yeah, every critic's gonna give it 10s. Every person with a PS4 is gonna pick it up and buy it.
I didn't say that, but I'm saying that the conference, like what marketing does as far as a trailer, it's getting the conversation out there and people are talking about it. No.
Yeah, I mean, in that sense, it's doing that. Sure. It's not where I tend to like a bit more information out of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know more of what that game is supposed to be, because as of now, it looks like Norman Reedus is climbing mountains in a very empty world.
That's what I want, though.
That's what I want.
I mean, yeah, no,
you want it,
knock
but you do.
yourself the fuck out. That is your game. But I'm interested to see what that game is. I'm not completely writing it off. It's a Kojima game.
Yeah.
It's on like the system that I play the most. I'm going to pick up that game. I'm going to play it, probably for better or worse. I would just like to know at this point, considering we see it at every show, what the hell it is.
I don't want any information at all.
That being said, I am proud. Not proud. I like that he cast Leah Seydoux from what's the name of the Blue is the Warmest Color?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a pretty good movie. I think she's an actually fantastic actress. And I kind of can't wait to see like who else he's jamming into the game at this point. Because everybody was like, his crush is Emma Stone and he's going to put Emma Stone in the game. And then I thought this was going to be the confirmation for that. And it turned out that it wasn't so far.
At one stage.
Yeah, so
Grimes like signed the record. And
oh no,
like,
yeah,
Grimes gonna
Grimes.
be in the game.
If Grimes is like Mads Mikkelsen's like accomplice in this game, I would not be surprised.
So before we end, because we only have a couple minutes left, I'm gonna ask you guys a very controversial question. I don't believe in this question, but for the sake of podcasting and for the sake of conversation and for the sake of entertainment, I feel like I gotta ask this question. Who do you guys feel won E3 this year? We got a lot of stuff. We got like 8 conferences. And yeah, there's a
All
lot of
conferences
takeaways.
or the big 3
All of them.
first party. Okay,
Jesus.
Let's start with Fiona.
Of course you would. Of course you would.
Just because I was like, man, she's sticking super hard. I'm gonna make her think even harder.
Motherfucker. For me, it's gonna be Bethesda. For everyone else, I would assume it really depends. Like, I'm not trying to like chicken out or anything, or like try to be like, oh, it's everyone's like E3, but like there was so much freaking good stuff. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Xbox, but they kind of shoveled out the information. I think overall, but just because they ended it, Nintendo with that Smash Brothers, like,
man, yeah.
It's one of those games where I'm like, I've never been a fan of it, but now I'm like, now I have to fucking buy a Switch for like $600 Canadian so I can play this game. Like, it's really difficult. I would personally, for me, it's Bethesda. But yeah, I would say Bethesda.
Awesome. Dylan?
My favorite conference of the show was Xbox.
Fair, yeah.
I think that was the most fun to watch. I think they had the most games, even though I think if you're looking at it on a level of like who had the most first party stuff, that's great for them, blah 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 blah. I still think Sony like kind of wins on that argument, because even though their show was complete garbage and crap, they didn't have
Moises
Boy,
just disappeared.
But like Sony kind of wins there, even though their show was crap. But on like a show level and like entertainment value and how fun it was just to participate and watching it, Xbox, because they just put out a lot. It was just fun to watch. It was the most E3 fun show to watch. I feel.
Awesome, man. I wish I knew what Moises' answer was now, because I'm saving my answer for maybe the next round of the final. Oh wait, I think he's back.
Oh.
He's back. Moises, who won E3 for you?
Oh, Microsoft.
Microsoft.
Hey,
What
Awesome.
happened? Was that just me? Was I the only
That was
one who-
just
That
you.
was just
That
you.
was just you.
Okay, all right. I'm glad it was just me. I was panicking for a second.
Awesome. So Microsoft for you. I'm going to save my answer for one of the next 2 rounds. It's not a good answer at all. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us for this round of E3, OKB's E3 live show. We'll be back in a few minutes with a new round of guests, including Alex Van Aken and I believe Danny Juarez. And so we'll have a couple more. And so yeah, until then, we'll see you guys in a few.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm so sorry for dropping.
Yo, what's up? Welcome to round 2 of OK Beast's E3 live show. I have quite a few guests. here's the thing about Discord Hangout chat. I don't know why I keep calling it Hangout, but Discord video chat is that it does a thing where you can have everybody's video on the screen at the same time, but I can't configure who's where. And so I'm gonna introduce Danny Juarez first, since this man is smack in the middle with the hugest screen. Danny Juarez, how's it going?
Hey, dude, it's going good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Doing?
You can like I don't know if you're seeing the stream right now, but essentially if you're talking to us, you can like point to us like this.
Yeah, I just looked at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so yeah, you have the biggest spotlight on you right now. For those who don't know,
hi.
Who are you?
I'm Stoke Danny on Twitter. Did podcast stuff with Irrational Passions, Zero Life Guys. I kind of just hop around. I like to say that I'm the Anthony Carboni of like the kind of funny community because I just jump into everything, sprinkle myself here and there.
Awesome. We also got Alex Van Aken of OK Beast. The
Yo.
website. How's it going, Alex?
What's up? It's going very well.
Awesome. We also have MrBadBit of MrBadBit. What's up, MrBadBit?
Hi. I'm all right. We're Brady Bunching it tonight, and I'm enjoying this so far. I like this.
I used to love the Brady Bunch. I also used to love the Cosbys. We also have
Oh no.
Seamus Mullins of Australia. How's it going, Seamus?
I'm very, very good. It is 10:30 in the morning, so I'm very energized, probably compared to you guys right now.
Awesome. Yeah, so if you're paying attention to the stream, we have to have one Australian per round. And so round 2, we got Seamus. Before we get into the deep conversations regarding E3, I have to ask a quick question. And I'm going to go with one-word answers this time because we have a lot to cover. Crepes versus pancakes, where are you guys at? Let's start with Alex Van Aken. One word, crepe versus pancakes, where are you at?
Crepe.
Crepe. Danny Juarez.
Dude, crepes.
Yeah, man, I love these guys. Seamus.
Pancakes.
Oh, come on.
Oh.
I thought you were better than that, Seamus. I thought you were better than that. MrBadBit, where you at?
Both wrong. Waffles.
No,
Man,
no,
I respect it. I respect it.
With peanut butter on top?
Yeah, I'm the maverick of this group. I gotta go against both grains.
That's fair.
Man, all right, then let's start with you then. As far as favorite games of E3, where are you at? What's your favorite game of E3 so far?
My favorite game by far, and I've watched it God knows how many times now, is definitely The Last of Us Part 2.
Man,
Definitely.
yes.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. And so The Last of Us Part 2 was shown it was the thing that started off the Sony E3 press conference. They started it in a church for some reason. Actually, I know the reason is because it was dope. That's why. Legit, like when I first saw that church and I saw Sean Layden talking to the rest of the people, like it's the congregation and he's the pastor. I legit got chills. And then they showed the Last of Us gameplay with the cutscene starting off with Ellie. And Ellie's I presume girlfriend or girl she likes or sing or I don't know. It's the post-apocalypse, so they can just be hooking up. I don't know. The girl who's obviously gonna die soon. And they go into gameplay and they show what Last of Us 2 looks like. MrBadBit, what'd you love about Last of Us 2?
Man, I gotta say this. I was extremely worried about this game because the first one's so great. And when I heard like Part 2, of course I got excited. I squealed like a little girl at the first trailer. But how do you perfect something that's already perfect to me in my mind? And so just literally, I know this is a cheap answer. Easy answer is everything. I'm now totally on board with this game. But the one thing that totally impressed me is the faces. Like when the girl is, I think her name's Dina. When Dina is right about to kiss Ellie, you see the tension and you actually see her face slowly start blushing. And I'm just like, whoa, like that's crazy. And then when they kiss, you actually see like the little like their cheek muscles, it was insane. The attention to detail, insane.
Yeah, I think
spent a lot of time rewinding that kiss.
Yeah, I think everything about that trailer is like insane. Like the physics of it when she takes a shot, like she reacts to the word that she was shot at, or like when she got hit with an arrow and then she pulls it out, or even the fact that like when she picks up arrows, she grabs like the individual arrows and then like puts them in her backpack. It's not just like here's a number symbol to your inventory all of a sudden.
Yeah. And like they had a little bit of that in the first game too. Like when you first found a gun, they would do the animation where he actually picks the gun up and he puts it in the holster or whatever. And so I love that they're bringing that back, and I wonder if they're gonna like do more of that. Like I because every time, usually in video games, right, they do like the quick like grab now you have it or whatever. But
Yeah.
if they keep that animation, I'm gonna absolutely love that. Alex, you talked about the kiss between Ellie and Girl. Talk about that a little bit more.
Just real smooth kissing.
Yeah.
Smooth looking lips. 10 out of 10 in my book, you know. So I wish I could kiss like that.
Can I just say that, like, I said this earlier
Alex's main
today.
takeaway from all of V3.
I messaged this to you guys earlier today, but I feel very weird about the sexualization of Ellie because she was literally 13 last week. Like,
Times are changing, man.
Yeah.
She's grown up now.
where you at with
You
that
know?
Last of Us trailer?
I actually really like the Last of Us 2 trailer. I thought the intro to it was great as far as them being in the church. Like, we kind of got more of a snapshot of some of the characters we'll see, regardless of whether or not they're going to die in the first 5 minutes or not. I enjoyed that part of it. The gameplay looks really smooth. We were talking to our buddy Chase Williams in a Twitter chat the other day, and he pointed out, like, you can't see it's seamless when you are in, you know, gameplay versus like scripted moments, which is like a thing that's not anything new, but just the level of polish this game has is apparently has is out of this world. So I'm excited to play it.
Seamus, where you at?
Probably just touch on sort of what everyone said. It's like what really puts Naughty Dog apart in a lot of the games isn't just like the huge moments, but it's just like the ridiculous attention to detail that they have just in every single part, whether it's like the kissing moment, the animation, her blushing and everything. It's like, obviously for them, it's like, if we're going to do this, we're just going to do this like as realistic as possible.
Yeah.
And really make these characters come to life. And with those moments as well, where it's like picking up those ammos and the movements. Like, I was playing Vampire last night for a review, and there's a bit where like the main character grabs a machete and he just like puts it somewhere and it just disappears. And I'm like, where'd you put that? Like, it just, I don't even know. And it's sort of like just those little things I feel like are really important and make a game really immersive. And it's like it's something a lot of developers miss out on or don't have the time to do, but with Naughty Dog it's like it's just a must for them. They just have to do it to hit their bar of quality, and it's what I feel like it's a large part of what puts them like as one of the best developers in the industry.
Yeah.
Alex, so far, what's your favorite thing shown at E3?
Man, Anthem looks great. Shadows Die Twice looks awesome. I'm gonna say one that might not be like my number one, but I feel like I'm the only one who's gonna talk about it. Gears of War Tactics is I'm so excited for it. It's kind of this new deviation from Gears. It's a turn-based strategy game, kind of like looks like it might be a mixture between XCOM and like more of a tower defense game. And I don't know, it looks great to me. It's kind of a big. I feel like it's like so. I'm right after this stream actually. A video will go up about this game, but the fact that like in 2016 or so, Microsoft kind of like started doubling down on like this tactical game lineup. Like they did Halo Wars Definitive Edition, then they did Halo Wars 2, then Age of Empires Definitive Edition, now Age of Empires 4 and Gears Tactics. So it seems like they're really thinking that their fan base is kind of wanting tactical games, I guess. So I'm interested to see how that plays out for them. But for me, it's like that perfect deviation. It like the Gears franchise perfectly like lines up with that kind of game. Like the cover system's already there, the executions, the weapons, the enemies, they all I feel like they're gonna make for a really interesting game. So
awesome.
Yeah.
BadBit, you
Can
got
I
that
tag team this for a second?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say you have the Gears. You look like a Gears character right now.
Let me tell you, yeah. So Gears of War Tactics. Let me tell you, I hate when Microsoft relies on one franchise and then they just, it seems like they milk it, right? Like as much as I love Halo Wars, we didn't need it to. And so when I heard the rumors that there was going to be a different type of Gears game, I got really, really skeptical about it. And then when it was Tactics, I was like, oh great, another RTS. I love RTSs. It just don't translate that well into console. But then when you see it and it's like this XCOM style, I was like, if there's any game actually that could pull this off, it is Gears of War. And just how the battles are set up in the game itself, I'm like, actually, yeah, this makes perfect sense. This actually makes more sense than Halo Wars. So I'm actually super down on that. And I think it amplifies my hype for it, knowing that there's then a proper Gears of War game coming right afterwards.
For sure, yeah.
I'm totally on board with Tactics, yeah.
Speaking of, how do you guys feel about the Gears pop? Because like it was an amazing troll to start off with that, and then go into Gears Tactics, and then roll into Gears 5. But like trolling aside, like when I first saw it, I was like, you know what, this looks kind of cool. Like if they can actually pull this off, I was like, yo, I might play it. I'm not even a Gears person. Like, Danny, where you at with Gears Pop?
I don't care much for it, dude. The whole pop thing is so oversaturated nowadays. Because I mean, if it does well, that's cool. I think it reaches to like a younger audience that doesn't really like, who didn't grow up with Gears like we did, or play Gears 1, or even like play Gears now because they're not old enough. But they can play this pop version that's like cute and funsy, and then if that does well, then like other companies like, well, what if we do like Halo Pop, or like anything that's a pop already, we can just make that into some sort of video game. So I mean, it also is just a way for them to make more money, because Funko Pop's like stock has gone down like 20% in the past year. So
do you guys know, is this the first pop game, like pop figure?
I think it is, yeah.
I believe so.
I think Marvel has something, but I think it's just like you collect the pops on your phone or something like that.
That makes sense. Seamus, are you into Gears at all?
I've actually never played a Gears game before. I didn't have a 360 until late in the cycle, and I bought it just to play GTA 5 with friends, because like at college, just most of my friends had 360s, and I was like, okay, whatever. Just bought like a pre-owned crappy one. But I like Gears of War 4 looked really good, and I'm probably gonna play it through Games Pass at some point because I've wanted to, and it just looked really good. And Gears 5 looks really cool. I love the change to a female protagonist. I like the more focused story, it seems like, and it just looked like visually, it looked awesome, and it just looked like a lot of fun. With the pop, I feel like it's just like some Microsoft exec was just playing Gears, and he's like, oh man, like I love this R-rated gameplay, and I want to be able to connect with my kids in some way. They love pops. I want them to be able to like play this R-rated thing where you just like massacre people with like chainsaw guns. Like I'll just like, let's just make this for kids. I'm sure that's what it wants. I feel like Halo would have made a lot more sense. Personally, because and it's a much more
there was like
wider appeal.
I know when they announced the Funko thing, the two things I immediately thought of was Mario plus Rabbids. So I was like, okay, let me see this, because you know other games have done something like this and it's worked out. With more skeptical, like, you know, IP.
All I'm saying is don't disrespect Mario Rabbids here, okay?
No, I love Mario Rabbids.
That's one of my favorite
Mario Odyssey.
Switch games of all time.
But for me, the second thing I thought of was the canceled Halo Mega Bloks game that was supposed to be. So I was just like, oh, this is cool that like Microsoft is taking another stab at this. So I liked it.
Let's see. In the chat, we got... Man, I had a good one, too. Oh, I got Moises Taveras saying, Danny is 100% hiding like 15 pops in that room. Don't listen to him.
Okay, yes, I have a pop collection, but they're just like random ones that came to me, or the ones I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool because I can't get a figurine of this anime.
We also got Chase Williams saying, please don't let pop games become as widespread and popular as Lego games. Pop is the epitome of unhinged consumerism, lol. And so, going ham on pop.
I like how just threw in that casual LOL.
Yeah, he just threw in that casual LOL just to give him a bone. So that's awesome. Let's see, Seamus, game of show.
Game of show. Damn, that's a big question.
We all
I don't know if I have really one that stands out particularly. Like with Spider-Man and Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima, it's like I just want all those games already, and so it's like I don't need to see more. Yeah, what they showed was like awesome and just gets me more excited for all of them. But I'm kind of just like, I just want them. Spider-Man, I was quite happy to see that. I was kind of afraid that it was gonna be shallow and just have the one antagonist with Mr. Negative, but the fact that like, hey, here's like Sinister Six, I was like, oh, this is great. This is gonna be like probably like a really big story, and have a lot of depth to it. So I was excited about that. But Cyberpunk, I know you guys talked about in the first hour of this live stream, sounds really, really cool. And We Happy Few, after they showed more like being like, hey, here's like, there's actually gonna be a lot of curated story content along with there being like procedurally generated gameplay too. I'm like, that's something not a lot of developers have done, so I'm quite interested in that. Unfortunately, We Happy Few has been declassified for Australia, so it's probably not going to come here. And based on what this journalists have said about Cyberpunk 2077, they'll probably get banned here as well, honestly, because of the use of drugs in it. That's like one thing. Like if drugs or sexual violence are used as an incentive in games, then the board is just like, nah. and they're just like really strict about it. So possibly a game of the year could not be coming to Australia, which is a really interesting thing. But everything about sounds really, really cool. I'd be amiss not to mention Dying Light 2 though.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were gonna say.
Yeah, I'm just happy that it exists. And it looks great. The focus on story and building, like branching narratives and decisions and sort of building your own world. Like, yeah, great. Can't wait.
So Dying Light 2, I should give a shout out to your article. You wrote an article for okbeast.com about Dying Light 2 and about choice in Dying Light 2. Which we then turned into a video on youtube.com/okbeast. And so if you're watching and you watched our Dying Light video that we put up yesterday, that video was totally entirely written by Seamus. And so shout out to Seamus for writing that video and writing that article. Let's see, who have I not asked game of the show? Danny or BadBit?
Oh, me. Hi,
Danny.
me.
Oh, hey, the dude who's in the center of the whole stream.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing from the show?
Honestly, like I've been going back and forth between Devil May Cry 5 and Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Man, yeah.
But I've got to say it's probably Resident Evil 2 Remake, and that's just like my own personal reasons. Is like, I got into gaming because my brother growing up, who passed away when I was 8, and one of the last games I played with him was Resident Evil 2 on our PS2 together. And so like, I have known for years, obviously, like they were gonna do this, and I listened to Easy Allies, and they kept saying like Resident Evil 2 Remake's gonna be there. And I was like, well, they also had DMC5. So I was like, I feel like Capcom is going to be one or the other. I did not expect both. But seeing, like, the second I saw, like, the PS1 and, like, you're in the rat, I was like, this is Resident Evil 2 Remake. This is Resident Evil 2 Remake. When you see the zombie, I flipped out and I started crying.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
So I started, like, seeing coverage of it, watching the videos. And, like, when I watched, like, the 20-minute gameplay of it from IGN or GameSpot, whatever, I couldn't believe like this is real. This is like this exists, and like it's so soon, like January 29th. Like what?
That game looks super cool. Like I'm not like a deep Resident Evil fan or whatever, but like I've been looking to opportunities to get into it. And I just haven't had like I tried playing Resident Evil 4, but I tried playing it in 2018, and that's not like a good game to jump in.
Honestly, the best version. Let me tell you, the best version of that game is the Wii version. I'm not even kidding. Like,
you know what? I had friends that had that version, and they absolutely loved it.
Yeah, like the Wii version is the best because the aiming's perfect. But yeah, like I'm excited for people to jump into this, experience it, and like kind of the idea of that, like since Resident Evil 7, that like they want to go back to their horror roots. So I'm hoping with this they'll be like, all right, well, let's do Resident Evil 3 remake, and then like we'll have decisions on what 8's going to be at this point. Should we go back to this? Like, do people want like this third person over the shoulder? Which I like that they're doing the Resident Evil 4 style of like over the shoulder third person shooting versus like the first person thing that they did with 7.
Yeah.
So I think if this reception's well, they'll decide on what they want to do next between the two.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of Capcom, we should just talk about it. Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah,
sick.
I was like,
yeah.
Because
it came out of nowhere during that Microsoft conference, I feel like.
Well, like, because I was expecting Sony to have it, if anything.
Yeah.
Like, Devil May Cry has been a PlayStation, like, staple since day one. I was not expecting, well, this game has been, like, known for, like, the past year and a half. Like, I remember reading on, like, Reddit and NeoGAF that there was, like, Resident Evil 5 or DMC 5 is real. Here's the story. You play as Nero, Virgil, Dante. And then, like, they didn't really give story details besides that, but, like, apparently the trailer was supposed to be shown at PSX last year, and then they said, like, they took it out last second. You know, they say every PSX there's some kind of trailer supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, seeing it this time, I was like, I couldn't believe that they focused on Nero and at the end the tease of Dante, but it's cool because this is the second game in the new Resident Evil engine besides Resident Evil 2 Remake and since Resident Evil 7. Yeah, I'm just so curious because I love the world of Devil May Cry. I love the story. Like who takes Nero's arm? Is it Virgil? How did Virgil return? What's Dante's role? Because in the novelizations, the reason why Nero has a Devil May Cry neon symbol is Dante gives it to him because he's like is retiring from demon hunting, and like Nero takes over the company all of a sudden. Yeah.
So I feel like this year, I'm like looking something up right now. Just make sure I got it right. So this year is like the year of the Capcom takeover, or like maybe it started last year with Resident Evil 7, but it seems like this whole console generation, it seems like Capcom's been struggling. Like they had Street Fighter V, but that came out to like mixed reception. Like the hardcores had a lot of problems with it. And like aside from that, like I feel like Capcom hadn't really had any hits. But then they came out with Resident Evil 7, and people love that. Then they came out with Monster Hunter Worlds, and that sold like crazy. And now like you have Resident Evil 2 Remake and Devil May Cry 5, and it feels like you're getting the Capcom of old, which seems really awesome. And so
I think Lost Planet.
I think they're like, they're realizing like we should go to our catalog of games that we've had for years. We need to go back and start revamping this or redoing them, like hopes of an Onimusha title. But I mean, there's already 3 Samurai games coming out.
That's
Neo,
true. Yeah.
Sekiro, and
Ghost
Tsushima.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, like I don't think there's a place for Onimusha at this point in time because there are so many games similar to it. But I don't doubt that Capcom is on the rise of something. Like obviously with the return of Mega Man, also with Mega Man 11, I would not be surprised if we see next E3 no Square Enix conference since they have nothing at this point.
Yeah.
And that like Capcom has a presentation all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like,
Man,
they have the titles.
That would be awesome. Yeah, they do have the titles, and they have like now they have like the good, like they're getting the reception they need. They're getting, it looks like they're getting the sales that they need. I don't know how good Resident Evil 7 sold, but I assume it sold well because it was a really good game. I didn't hear anything bad about it. And Monster Hunter is of course like selling like crazy, and so it looks like they're gonna start supporting the Switch more too. And so like I could see them very much hitting from multiple fronts when it comes to that stuff. Alex said Lost Planet, and there's a game that kept giving me Lost Planet vibes from the E3, and you know which one I'm talking about, Alex. It's that good boy Anthem, which this was the first E3 where I was like, man, Anthem kind of got me hyped. Anthem
looks so good.
Anthem looks sick. Alex, where you at? What are your Anthem impressions, especially after the trailer and the gameplay and all the stuff they showed at the EA conference?
Yeah, so what I'm most excited for about Anthem is it feels like the classes, at least so far, like we haven't seen everything, but the classes seem more varied than the comparison this game is going to get for the next several years is Destiny, even though I think they're totally different games.
Because it is just a clone. What? No.
What? No, for the sake of conversation, I'm going to compare them. Like in Destiny, it feels like, and I played 100 hours of Destiny 2. Like I feel like I know the game pretty well. Beat the raid and all that. I haven't played any of the post-game content.
Because it's bad.
Those classes feel like it's
Agreed.
like, okay, I have the Warlock, I have the Hunter, I have the Titan. Every class has a gun. Every class has a melee. Every class has some sort of grenade. Every class has mostly the same stuff outside of their jump and their ult or whatever, their ultimate. Whereas I feel like
I still play Destiny 2, so like
I'm not hating. I'm just saying this is what appeals to me. And it feels like the classes are more varied. Like you see I think his name is the Colossus, like that suit. Yeah. He's like walking through a minefield with a shield. He's got a flamethrower. He can swap out parts and change that up. The other person is more fast-paced. There's like 4 of them, I think, right now. But they all felt like in the gameplay, they felt like varied and they felt like unique to themselves, which was really exciting for me. And this game seems to be more, Anthem seems to be leaning more into the RPG side of things, which excites me because what I wanted from Destiny, I really wanted it to be more of an MMO. Mm-hmm. When it was first announced, but it kind of leaned into the shooter side, whereas I feel like Anthem's on the opposite. It's kind of leaning into the RPG stuff, with, of course, its action is through guns and stuff. But I don't know. I'm stoked on it. The world looks awesome. I don't think it's a segmented world, and I think it's smaller than previous BioWare games. But I'm stoked on it. How's everybody else feel?
I'm excited for it. I think it's BioWare. I think the mechanics are really great. Like as far as I've been hearing people talking about, is like the flying. Like once you adjust it to it, like it's so comfortable between that and shooting.
That's awesome.
And they're saying that like the storytelling of BioWare is there with it. So it's like people kept saying from like just like I want story, I want more, and it's like, well, BioWare already does that with all of their games. So like they're just gonna give you that straightforward with it. Now they're just figuring out the multiplayer part of it. Like how do you do that with multiple players in the game?
Yeah. How do you guys feel about no PvP?
Well, I'm on board with that. I'm on board with that idea.
I thought they said there was no PvP for like the first, like.
I've heard different things. I saw the lead designer, I think is the lead designer, his tweet was like, no PvP. He could have just been generalizing.
They said they're not doing PvP because they want to be able to have more just fun and interesting weapons.
Without having to worry about balance.
And without having to worry about balancing it. Yeah, that's the main.
And I think for me, Anthem it didn't sell me. I'm still pre-ordering it for sure. I think what is interesting to me when I look at Anthem, and NATO said it in the chat, is that to me it's like the Mori of video games. It kind of looks like Destiny, kind of looks like Lost Planet, and Horizon had a baby. We don't know who the father is, but more so it feels like Monster Hunter. Like you're bringing this base into this zone. You're going out with your friends and you're going on these missions, fighting these huge bulking beasts. For what we saw, that big weird thing shooting beams out of his face or his chest. I don't know. Couldn't be healthy for him. But nonetheless, like it felt like Monster Hunter, and yeah, like a little bit of like, I guess Destiny because you're with your friends. I don't know, but to me, if it has good vibes, I think what's going against it is EA, and I think the bad rap that EA has gotten over the past year, and for good reason, is the thing why everybody looks at this and goes, no romance options. I can't make sex with my javelin. I'm out of here. And to me, I don't think it's fair on BioWare, but it is something that is deserved on EA's part.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm skeptical about the game, not because it's BioWare, because it's EA. And so that's where I like it. It looks great. I just don't think they presented it well enough, and I think they should have gave that game way more time than the FIFAs and the football. The kid on stage who like skipped his graduation or something.
I feel like I have like an amalgamation of where you guys are at, because like I am a person who's like, man, I can't remember the last single player or the last story driven EA game that I really got into. Like I'd have to think really hard about it. I'm sure like this is BioWare specific. I think this is the same BioWare that worked on Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, and Mass Effect 3.
Yeah,
maybe?
it's the same team, but I think one of the directors came back on, then left again.
Interesting.
We'll see, and that's why there's no romance options.
Yeah.
But I also I think this world that they're trying to create in it, there's not a reason to have a romance, have romances in it. I think it's just straight up like.
Like I don't. So my thing is like I don't. There's going to be a story in this game because like it's BioWare and it is an RPG of some sorts, right? But I don't think when it comes to multiplayer games, when it comes to the shared world shooter especially, like I don't know how well they can implement a story is my concern, because like Destiny tried very hard to have a story, and I think a lot of people enjoy the lore of Destiny and enjoy what's going on there, but it's not really I don't feel like when I played Destiny, at least I played like 100 hours, I didn't care at all about the story in Destiny 2. I cared about the shooting, and I cared about getting loot and all that stuff, and that was totally fun for me, but like I couldn't care less because I feel like the way the story was delivered was either, I mean, part of it was I felt like it was a bit too fantasy for me, but also I feel like when it comes to this type of game, the narrative sort of takes a second seat to the gameplay in the multiplayer aspects of the game. And so like I don't really have much faith in terms of narrative and story. I'm sure since it's BioWare, they have better chops than Bungie maybe in terms of telling a story, even though I know Bungie did have a strong story in Halo and all this stuff, but that's kind of where I'm coming out as far as that aspect of the game, and especially when people are asking for romance options or asking for the things you've seen in Mass Effect. I'm like, man, they're not gonna have that there in Anthem, because it's a different type of game entirely. So yeah, those are my concerns. But as far as like what kind of sold me on this game at EA, I'm a very easy person to impress. Like I just need one thing to impress me, and so the part for me where I was like, oh, I'm sold, is the part where they're talking and they're doing the whole fake asking questions from Twitter thing. It was the part where they started showing how you can switch skins, and they started showing the different Iron Man suit looking things, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. Like I love the idea of mechanized suits, and I love what the implications are of wearing a heavier suit and what that does for your playstyle, or wearing a skinnier suit, or like being able to make your paint job super cool, and being able to kind of configure the way you play. And they even said that like you can, between missions you can change your class and all this stuff, and so like being able to switch up the way you play and having that variation in the way you play and having a lot more customization options in terms of how you personalize your Anthem Iron Man suit thing, like that all speaks to me on a very deep level. And then seeing the flying and seeing the environments, and like the environments very much look to me kind of like they resonate with me kind of like the way the Lost Planet did. And so yeah, I'm super into it, from the aesthetic, from the ideas, from the concepts, and all the stuff. And so I'm hoping it speaks to me as far as that stuff goes. But speaking of Iron Man suits and Space Marines and space, I don't know how to make this transition. Let's talk about Halo Infinite.
Cortana.
Cortana. Let's talk about it. Alex is more of a Halo guy, more of the Halo guy than I am, because I've barely ever played a Halo.
Yeah.
Alex, I will play Halo with you any day, all day. Okay. I've played 1, 2, and 3. I played ODST. I've played whatever
You play 4?
I did play 4.
Did you play Reach?
I played Reach. I love Reach is my favorite.
Reach is my favorite.
I've not played 5.
Reach is the best.
I've watched gameplay of 5 because at the time I didn't have an Xbox One and I was like, whatever.
I'm excited at the premise of Infinite. It's interesting that they didn't like where Halo 5 ended. I don't want to spoil it for people, but it ended in a place that it ended in space and there was war, and now it's just like peace, and like I kind of dig the transit, like the random like I don't know, I don't know where it was coming from, you know, I don't know where that scene took place, if it's even in the game or if it's just, you know.
Do you think it takes place after 5? Because the way 5 ends is like
it does. Yeah. They say that actually it does follow 5.
You know, we have to like fix it. That's weird though, because like why would you not call it Halo 6 then?
Yeah, I'm curious if this is like maybe a side story between 5 and what will be 6.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it. Maybe this is you know,
is it like Kingdom Hearts
side
stories? Drop Distance, where they're like, here's the story, and then leading up 3's right after this, and it's like, well, this could have just been like, you know, 3.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they want to get. I think they want to spend more time with Halo 6 in the oven, and maybe this is, you know, a way for them to. It looks there's a new engine. Forget what it's called, but it looks pretty. It looks kind of like a mixture of Halo 3 and Halo CE. I'm stoked for it. You just said you put the Halo logo up there, and I'm excited. Like I'm a fanboy, but
yeah, I could hear.
I could hear
Alex getting hard from here. Like as soon as I saw the Halo helmet, I was like, "What was that sound?"
I was screaming in the Discord.
Yeah,
I didn't expect them to open with it, and I was like, "What is this? What are the animals?" And then I noticed when they were walking through the rings, I was like, "Wait a second!" And like some people, they kind of look like ODSTs a little bit. And then it's the helmet. And I flipped out. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I thought there was like gameplay right after that, and then there was nothing. But I was still excited.
I think this is a next Xbox game. I don't think this is
for sure,
this generation.
Really?
I'm a huge Halo fan. Oh yeah, absolutely. Huge Halo fan.
I think it's like an end of Xbox One game.
That's what I was thinking.
Maybe both transitional.
Yeah.
Maybe it's running on the X, but I don't. Looking at it, it gave me a feeling like no release date, no, not even a year type of deal to it. So to me, I'm a huge Halo fan. They are the company that got me into games in depth. Like Bungie, I idolized them, and you know when they left and 343 came in, to me it's not been the best. And I think you know 4 had a good story, great story, did not have the multiplayer. Halo 5 had the multiplayer. Not have
You just offended me, sir. Halo 4 is better than Halo 3 multiplayer.
Oh boy. Okay. So anyway, I'm just not a fan of the direction. So I hope
I'm just messing with you.
What Infinite is, I really hope is a return to form. What I really would like it to be, it was that rumored Halo Online. I would like it if it was just give me just online. Just don't even worry about the story. If this is some in between, just give me an online experience that everybody can enjoy, and then focus on 6 and focus on that story, because where you left off, my one question is, who is he plugging into the helmet, right? Yeah. It's kind of like an Iron Man situation, going back to Iron Man here. You know, he had Jarvis for so long. I don't like Friday, okay? I don't like her. Give me Jarvis again. I need Cortana. And I think their dynamic is something so...
Same. Master Chief needs Cortana, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's just I need to see more to get excited, because the way 343, it's either a hit or a miss in one department or the other for me, and I just need to see I just need to see progress. This doesn't. It's cool that you're like, hey, this is what Xbox is, right? It's Master Chief. He's freaking awesome. I love Master Chief, but you can't show me this and then nothing else and expect me to get excited for it. Like, it's great, and I was excited in the moment, but sitting back and go, I'm actually more excited for Gears 5 because I at least know what that game is and the story beats are there, and I'm invested in that story. It looks great. Halo 5, I saw a helmet. I'm staring at the Halo 3 helmet right there. I stare at it every day. It's not going to get me excited. You know, that's how I feel. I'm just super salty because it's been a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah. I feel you, man. I don't feel you. I never played a Halo, but I know I feel that passion. I feel that passion.
Yes.
So speaking of Halo, and we even talked about Gears a bit earlier, but I think for me the coolest announcement from the Microsoft conference was them coming out and being like, "Hey, we've acquired 5 studios, like 2 studios that we already work with, being Playground.
Absolutely,
yeah,
they need it.
Yeah.
Like Playground. What was the other one that they always work with?
Undead.
I
Yeah.
have them all here.
Playground, Undead Labs.
Ninja Theory.
Ninja Theory is
It's
crazy.
just huge.
They
Compulsion.
created one, and yeah, Compulsion, who does We Happy Few, like that to me, and probably to, and I hope a lot of people feel like this, is like the craziest and like the most like baller thing they can come out and say right now. Because like I think the comparison is always like with PlayStation, and even I mean if people are comparing them to Nintendo, it's the same thing of like, man, PlayStation, I got my God of War, Detroit, Last of Us, Uncharted, Horizon Zero Dawn. Like I have like all these like 10 out of 10 games coming out, and
like you can name like more than 5 first-party studios for Sony.
Yeah.
Than you can for Microsoft. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And like Microsoft is at like they've had the last few first-party games have been Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2, which like I know there's a lot of people that like those games, but they're not God of War, like they're not Last of Us.
No, they're very average compared to Sony.
Yeah,
like Gears 4 was the last first party game from like Microsoft that I gave a shit about.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah.
I love Gears 4.
Yeah. I'm excited because they've talked about like doubling down on single player, and Playground Games right now is working on an open world RPG for them. So it's exciting to see them buy them out. So maybe I don't know if they're going to go back to racing games or what, but it's excited to see them like purchase these studios. Ninja Theory, great single player game. I'm excited for them to diversify their portfolio, and I feel like they chose great. You know?
Yeah, like I think this conference for Microsoft was like, hey, we cracked down, okay, and then here's some first party games we kind of have in the oven. Gears 5, but it's like we don't have first parties, but here's all the third parties that we're teaming up with. Yeah. And now we acquired first party, so next year you'll see all our first party titles at E3. You know.
Yeah. And all that stuff is super dope. And I think there's a theory with Playground Games that they're working on Fable.
Because there's been so many rumors, but not confirmed. Like Microsoft just don't want to talk about specifically. But that's been the rumor.
Because Phil Spencer did talk about like their open world and how they're able to build those, and like it very much seems that they're hinting toward like, hey, like get ready because they're about to bring out something cool.
Man, I was looking at some Fable Legends footage earlier. Game look good.
It was out for that.
I gotta say this. I'm really excited for the initiative, the studio they started. From what if memory serves me correct, the head of that studio is the creative director of Rise of the Tomb Raider, and that game was so great, and it was just overshadowed by so many games that year, right? Fallout 4 being the huge one that overshadowed that, and Star Wars and whatnot. So I want to see what that studio is, because it's Phil Spencer saying, listen, this is a quad A game, which doesn't even exist, but we're just gonna throw money at this, and we're gonna see what this studio could chug, you know. And I'm excited to see Microsoft and Phil Spencer going, listen, we heard you. These 5 years, let's be honest, if you're an Xbox fan or not, it's been rough. It's been real rough. And I think this is the start of saying, listen, guys, this is our promise. All those games you're going to see on the stage, they're coming out. And I hope what Microsoft needs out of these are all great studios. They now need those games to not be delayed and not get canceled. I think how to measure the success of this conference is not in a day or week, month. It's in a year. It's in 2 years. It's
in the next 10 years.
Yeah, I think it's next generation where we start to seeing the fruits of the labor, because like I feel like this generation, what Xbox is doing is they're building out their services, and they're trying to maintain the brand, because like, you know, it started off rough. Like, it very unfortunate 2013 for Xbox. Like, that pretty much tanked the rest of the 7 years for them.
Absolutely.
And so, and it's kind of crazy thinking back how that whole thing happened, and thinking back to social media, and like that was a very crazy time. And I think with Phil Spencer at the helm, right, you can see the pieces being put into place. Like, even when he's on stage, like you can see in his eyes that like this man's playing chess, and it's Game Pass, it's backwards compatibility, trying to build out the platform and make it so that like once you buy Xbox 2 or whatever the next one is called, Nextbox, once you buy it, like you're gonna be able to play all the Xbox games. It's gonna work like PC in that way. And like, what happens if you have that and PlayStation doesn't have that, or what happens if you have your subscription platform down pat and PlayStation doesn't have that, or PlayStation is still using PlayStation Now, which isn't that good? Like, what happens when you have all these services set up and your competitor doesn't upon the launch of the next two consoles, and now you have all these studios that are working on first-party games that'll launch on your next console? Like, you can see them putting together the pieces, and it's going to set up a very, very awesome next generation. Like, there's going to be a battle taking place, and so I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, I think he's building the foundation that most companies like are going to need to follow in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think one of the coolest things that announced at, well, man, I got two things in my head. I'm gonna go to the one that appeals to me more. Jump Force. Sure. Y'all remember Jump Force? Or not remember, but man,
yeah,
dude, when they showed that trailer, like chills. I got chills. Like, I didn't need to know what it was. Like, I know like there's been like J-Star's Victory Versus and like some
that's games. What I thought of, and I was like, God, I just hope it's not as bad as that.
I that was the first thing that popped in my mind. But then I was like, man, if they're showing at the Xbox conference and they're putting together this dope trailer, it better be dope.
Well, yeah, that's like the biggest thing is like Xbox doesn't thrive well in the East, and like they, since last year, he was like, I went to Japan, I've been talking to our developers there, and we want to associate ourselves with those and grow bigger there. So like last year with Dragon Ball Fighter Z, like being like a thing for them at their conference, and now like Devil May Cry 5 and Jump Force is like, they're trying to get to that point to be as big as Sony over there.
Yeah, and I think
the only problem is Sony has been there for years.
Forever.
And that's the thing. I think Microsoft and Phil Spencer understands that this isn't, again, a game that, like, I think playing chess is a great description of it. It's about winning the small battles, and yes, we lost the war. Who cares? It's about, okay, building that foundation. So yeah, these games, they're going to be wasting money in Japan for years, but Phil is trying to associate not just people in Japan and getting Japan, but I think getting people who are into the anime style, like JRPGs and whatnot, but are more of the Western audience. Like, that's what I think he's really trying to target here. And I think when it comes to that, I think it's just a passion when it comes to Microsoft. Willpower. If any company can do it, it's Microsoft because of their deep wallets. But yeah,
awesome.
I don't know, but they better give me chibi PUBG, you know.
Could you imagine?
And it better run good.
Could you imagine Pop PUBG?
100 Funkos drop it to an island.
I mean, that might be the only thing that can compete with Fortnite at this point. Is like Pop Halo Battle Royale. Which, bringing back to Halo Infinite, do you guys think that there's gonna be Battle Royale? Because that was the first thing I thought when I heard Infinite, or when I saw Infinite.
Well,
I don't think so.
I think we're gonna have to see how things like Battlefield 5 and Call of Duty Black Ops 4 do with Battle Royale as their first person, like them being first shooters and being like shooters that have a legacy. And now they're doing the Battle Royale mode. See how that goes before Halo decides like, maybe we should put this in our game, maybe we shouldn't. See the reception.
I feel like Halo would be a great Battle Royale game, but I don't know if they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
I think it would be I think Halo, if any of their first parties can do it, I think it's Halo. I think I thought they would purchase PUBG Corp, But then after seeing PUBG Corp shoot themselves in the head with the lawsuit with Epic,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's not happening. And so I think Microsoft knows that PUBG's time, I think, is on a steady decline because they're not focusing on resources, they're focusing on lawsuits. And so I think Microsoft would like to see one of their titles pick that up once PUBG goes into the PlayStation ecosystem, wherever PUBG goes next. I think seeing ODSTs fall onto a map, that'd be awesome, man. You're in the capsule and you're just like shooting down and you're looking at your feet. That's amazing.
See, I
That'd be
see
fantastic.
that, or I see a 50-50 mode of like Covenant versus ODSTs.
They could make that like a mode, like a fun mode, like 50v50 in Fortnite.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Yeah.
The last game I want to talk about before I ask you guys who you think won E3, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. That was like one of 3 like cool looking samurai action games.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go with Seamus. Seamus, do you have any impressions of this game of that trailer, or like what anything surrounding it?
It's interesting that they're going to be competing with Neo, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of already a thing. Like Neo's already there, and the sequel came for it. Like it was really successful. Like I've got lots of friends who loved it, so it's interesting that they're going to be sort of competing within that small market there already. It's like, but the thing is, it's like it's from software. I didn't really get into Dark Souls. Like the combat really isn't for me. I much prefer Bloodborne's, where it's much more fast paced. But it's like we saw a bit, and it's like, yeah, it looks cool, and it's from software and different setting, same sort of style, a few different differences. But it's like, yeah, it looks awesome. Like I'm sure it's gonna be great. I don't know if there's much more beyond that really. Like it seems maybe a bit in between of like what Bloodborne and Dark Souls is, with a bit more movement, but not all the way. So somewhere it's trying to find like it's somewhere a bit different, but yeah, it looks cool. It looks great.
I'm so excited for this game, you guys.
Yeah.
I shouted when we were me and Sean Capri, we were streaming this, and I shouted like a girl, real loud into the mic. I murdered so many people's ears that day. I love From Software. Bloodborne got me into the Soul series, and so seeing this game, first off on the Microsoft stage, after seeing it at the Game Awards, and it had like
that's a really good point.
It was really interesting. I thought that was a huge get for Microsoft.
Yeah.
The thing that interests me about Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice is Activision's publishing this game.
Yeah, that's
which
a
just
weird
felt
thing.
as weird.
Yeah.
And then seeing the movement, it's relying on dodges and parries, but there's also verticality to it. So Dark Souls was a grounded experience. Bloodborne introduces speed, and now this is, you see them jumping in the air to dodge shots and to dodge like swings. I was just like, whoa. And that's the thing that really got me. And I love seeing From Software, which usually tackles all these like Western-esque settings, and now going back to their Japanese roots, this excites me so very much.
Yeah, I watched the Easy Allies coverage of it today. Like Ben Moore got to interview Miyazaki or whatever, the director of it. And he was saying like they were like, it's heavy, like we feel heavy Tenchu vibes from this. He's like, well, I don't know what Tenchu played like. I never played the original, and that team isn't here anymore. And he was saying like, but there are influence of it, obviously. But they were saying the mechanics of it is there's a stance system, which is the parry system. So you have a stance, and the enemy has a stance, and you can break their stance, and that's how you get like awesome. your back stabs and all that stuff, or like
kind of
or like the way that they showed like the kill montages of things. But they were saying like the mechanical arm is like a huge part. It has the hook shot, and apparently the hook shot's kind of just like how Batman Arkham was, where like you can point it at areas like where you can shoot it at.
That's dope.
But then they were saying like certain stances you'll do different combos and different finishers, like, and they're showing like when there's bigger enemies with big blades, you can like actually block and then jump on their blade to get on top of them and then stab them in the head and all that. But the weirdest part was there are things they were talking about that there's no Estus flask type of thing. Like your Estus flask is your life, so you have multiple lives, and once your life's down to 0, that's like the end of your run.
I enjoyed Bloodborne's combat. I didn't play it for very long because I'm not a big fan of that gothic, kind of setting and taking it back to more of like a feudal Japan kind of thing. Like, I don't know, it seems dope to me. I'm excited. Like the combat looks great, like running on rooftops, the slingshot thing. I feel like that could kind of make for a lot of awesome gameplay and mechanics. So I'm stoked for it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Before we take a break and go into round 3, I want to ask you guys individually, like, who won E3 for you? Let's start with Seamus.
Microsoft by far. You're asking E3 entirely or like best conference?
Both.
Both.
Take it as you will.
Microsoft with best conference by far. It's like with PlayStation, it's like, yeah, they showed like I've always been a PlayStation fan. Those games excite me more than anything, but like that was a really bad presentation for like people there and for people watching. Like, yeah, great gameplay trailers, but it's like just everything else was just like, and the stuff with Dreams, it's like, what's happening with that game? Like, and yeah, it was just weird. Like Microsoft's conference knocking everything out of the park. Like it looked great. And I'll probably say best for like across the board, best for E3. Like that's the thing, they didn't have many exclusives to really show this time around. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll just go with Microsoft. Yeah.
Awesome. Alex Van Aken.
Microsoft had the best conference. I think Nintendo wins E3 with the announcement of Smash Ultimate.
No.
What?
It's cool, but like it's one game. I don't know.
No, I mean like I don't mean
It's
just
the
Smash
game.
Ultimate. I feel like everything that they announced was right up my alley.
Yeah, I think everything they presented was very solid. Like it was a good direct, and
Damon
they
X
said,
Machina
like,
looks dope.
yeah, and the weird part is like today, like I think IGN covered it. The original directors of Armored Core are the ones working on it, and like they said, like we just want to make the best mech game possible, and so like it's cool that they're doing that for Switch and not like PlayStation or Xbox.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
MrBadBit, what about you?
So this one's difficult for me, man. And when I mean difficult, I want to say PlayStation because the games that they showed were amazing. Like Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima is just, oh my goodness, gorgeous. Death Stranding, boring. Walking sim.
Don't
Yeah,
say
I
that.
agree with that. I love the
just
silliness
don't
of it all, but what the hell is
understand
that?
And
I don't
also
understand
the
what's going
animations
on.
those animations when they're walking, it seems like they gotta take a poop. And so I'm just like,
He's carrying bags. It's heavy.
Listen,
And-
Kojima won't let you down. I promise you that.
I listen. I'm gonna buy it because fucking Konami, but I want to see PlayStation because the games that they showed, they stick with me. And like I showed my mom the Last of Us trailer. Okay, obviously she's not a gamer, but she walked out
She
going,
vomited everywhere.
she's funny. She's like, I want Ellie to be my best friend. She's so cool. And I'm like, you're adorable, mom. And like I saw that like the Ghost of Tsushima, I showed her, I showed my brother, and they're just like, I want to watch this when you play this. And that's never anything like that. So I think the games wise, Sony had it, but the pacing was awful. Oh my God. So when I think of like who had a best conference, I have to say out of the big three, it's Microsoft. They just, without a doubt, they had a mission, and that is to make a promise to people.
To make a point.
We learned.
To
make a point. And I think yeah, Microsoft, man, Phil Spencer, he said it so perfectly, man. He's playing chess right now.
Yeah.
And I think right now he's laying his pieces out and he's seeing how the things fall. And I think by announcing Scarlet so soon, I think that was a little bit of a mistake because I bought an X and I kind of felt burned. But I think that's just a smart way of lining it up to the next generation. So I think Microsoft had the best conference out there, without a doubt.
Danny.
So winning E3, I have to say Sony because they put the most out that I care about, and that I'm like looking forward to, and like something that like my consoles are what I invest into. So like they had the most things. Like I'm gonna invest most of my time on PS4 with these games. But best conference honestly was Ubisoft. And reason being is just like, listen, Alex, I know you're upset because there's no Splinter Cell. Okay, it's I can't tell you anything. But I love just seeing the developers. Like I love that PlayStation did the thing last year at PSX where it's like, let's put the developer's face to the game, and like they want to talk about their game. They are so happy. They are like proud of what they're working on, and they want people to be excited. And like, even though there was like the audio issues, like when they left from Beyond Good and Evil 2, they're like, we nailed it. Like they were so happy. And I love that. I love seeing every developer being so excited for their titles. And it's like one of the, like last year and this year, like Ubisoft has just been killing it in the sense of like, they feel like a publisher, like finally.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We'll be back with round 3 in just a few minutes. And in round 3, you'll get to hear who I think won E3. Spoiler alert, it's the gamer. Just kidding, it's not the gamer. And yeah, we'll be right back. Thanks guys for joining me. It's Square. It's Square Enix. Yo, what's up? Welcome to round 3 of the OK Beast E3 live show. I've got 3 new guests.
Ooh.
First up, we got Sam Atherton.
Yo, what
do you guys,
up?
Do you guys go by Awkward Pause or Gone Gold? Which one do you guys prefer?
I mean, I guess we'll say this is Gone Gold because this is gaming.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
give me that Gone Gold.
How's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome.
It's a lovely night here in Michigan, and yeah.
Nice. We also got John Bernard. Man, I should have asked you how to pronounce your name. John Bernardo?
Man. You got it.
Oh, awesome. For some reason, I wanted to say John Bernardino, but I was like, it's not Bernardino, definitely. I'm thinking of a town somewhere.
There is Bernardinos, though. There are Bernardinos. I've known a few.
Interesting. How's it going, man?
Good, man. You?
Pretty good. I should give you a shout out because you've been helping OK Beast all week with putting our podcasts on YouTube, which is a Herculean task because like we have standards for how we want to put things up. Where since like then I'm gonna give you guys some inside baseball stuff. Since our channel is primarily video essays, there's like an expectation I feel like we've set for people with our video content, and so my thing was, and we had this conversation a lot in OKBase, was like, how do we put podcasts on YouTube if we want to do that? And I was like, man, I need to have something visual in there, and so like I created a loop, and then we asked John to edit in gameplay snips from games we talk about during E3, and so this man, for hour and a half long videos, has been going in, editing gameplay, and uploading it the day of. And that is not an easy thing to do. That's like a lot of work.
Damn.
And so shout out to John for doing that for us.
Thank you.
Shout out to John.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I met your standards, so.
Oh, yeah. No, John's been killing it. And we got Alex O'Neill of Rational Passions.
What's up? I'm here to burn it down.
Yo,
Blessing.
Shout out to you. Oh, what's up? We doing the hot
I got
take
a
thing?
quick question. No.
Oh, okay.
I can get the music ready if you want me to, though. I have a question because you went through a list of games you hadn't talked about.
Yep.
Before we went live, and I want to know. I didn't ask then. I'm putting you on blast right now.
Oh boy.
Was Tales of Vesperia ever on that list? Because you know I'm here to talk about it.
I forgot that game existed. Legit.
I know you did, you monster.
The second after they announced it, the second the trailer was over, I forgot that game. I couldn't tell you what conference that was at.
That was
Like,
at
legit.
Microsoft, and the second after it was announced, I was pacing around this room sweating.
Was it that serious? Are you that much of a Tales fan?
It is very serious. We're gonna get into it. I
That's
just wanted to put you on
awesome.
blast there.
That's awesome. Thank you guys for joining me. The first question I always ask, because since it's E3, since we got to get deep into the video game journalist coverage, first question I need to know, one word answer: crepes or pancakes? Where you guys at? Sam, where you at?
Give me a nice pancake. You know what? Sorry, crepes.
All right.
Give me a nice pancake.
I'm judging you, but it's okay. It's okay, John.
I'm going to have to go with them. I'm going pancakes, man. Crepe is, once in a while. You have that once a month. Pancakes, that shit, I got that shit weekly.
Jeez.
Blessing, you can rename this segment Pancake Boys
Oh my
because
God.
you know where I'm at.
I love it.
Here's the thing. So this comes up.
Judge away.
This is a topic of conversation on OK Beast because I feel like crepes are very underappreciated in terms of being a food item, in terms of being a breakfast food item, and in terms of being a brunch food item. Like, there's a lot of different variations of crepes. You can have savory, you can have sweet, you can add bacon, you can add what's it called? Nutella. You can add Nutella. You can do all. Crepes have diversity. Pancakes are just a fluff that don't have any flavor to them. You know. That's where I'm coming from.
I don't
Here's my-
know. I think you're crazy.
Here's my issue with crepes. They're hard to make. You have to make the batter the night before and like do all this stuff. Pancakes, you just make them.
Yeah.
I feel like you're overcomplicated. It takes like just a couple extra steps for crepes. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. I haven't done it yet. I haven't done it.
Oh, okay.
Usually I eat other people's crepes, but you know. All right. So the question I ask
You're
everybody.
a crepe guy.
Yeah. The question I ask everybody to start off is, what's your favorite show or favorite game of the show so far from E3? I'm gonna start with Alex O'Neill.
I'm bubbling over here. You can feel it, can't you? I'm like
yeah.
overboiling. The
I can
pot
feel
is
the
hot.
heat radiating over from, I don't even know where you're living, over from the East Coast.
Somewhere in
Somewhere in
the
the
middle
east.
of the East Coast.
Yeah.
Y'all, let's talk about Tales of Vesperia Definitive
Is that for
Edition.
real your game of the show?
It is.
Or is your favorite
for
thing
real.
from your show?
it's for real my most hyped moment. I have like tons of games that I'm super excited about. It sounds like you've probably already talked about them, like Kingdom Hearts 3 for sure. For sure. There were 3 Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers somehow spread across all conferences, it feels, and every single one of them got me standing up screaming. So like it was basically, because for folks that don't know, like my co-host Brian Abishan Jackson, also massive Kingdom Hearts fan, it was like we were texting back and forth like, this is dreams right here, like we're past dreams, this is too high.
Oh no, we didn't get dreams.
It's true, we didn't get dreams, which I know is your dream, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, it bummed me out that we didn't. Well, we saw it a lot of times, but we didn't see it, which bums me out. But you know, continue on with your Tales talk.
Tales of Vesperia is like, it is one of my favorite games of all time. Absolutely, it's probably I think it's my number 4 favorite game of all time, just behind Kingdom Hearts 2. It is phenomenal. And like, as someone who, like, 3 out of my 5 favorite games are JRPGs. Like, I love JRPGs, and I understand that's not super par for the course. But this is like something that's kind of classic style. It is very much reminiscent of like a Chrono Trigger or Super Nintendo era of JRPG, which is how like Tales games used to be, even onto GameCube and PS2 and then 360, where Vesperia originally came out 10 years ago. So it is very much like you walk out of town and it's like a world map and it's like a watercolor art style. It's very stylized, but it's got very deep combat. It's got an amazing story. Like, I love the story of Tales of Vesperia, and it's just packed full of secrets. Like, and I think you get a kick out of this, Blessing. One of the coolest mechanics about Tales of Vesperia is each boss fight in the game has a secret objective that you don't know. And you have to kind of pick up on context. Like one of the early ones is you're fighting this big golem, right? He's gigantic. He's like 10 times as tall as any of your player characters. And he has this one major attack, and you're basically walking around like a circular arena, just for visual reference. He has this big attack where he shoots a laser beam out of his chest, and it's massive. But if you look closely, you can see his left ankle, his left heel is like glowing and weak, and it like lights up when he does that attack. So if you run up and hit that ankle while he's doing that attack in the fight, he'll like fall over, and you like achieve the secret objective. And there's something like that for every boss fight. No other video game I've ever played has done anything like that. And it's so cool. Like, some of them get so buck wild, like I can't even tell you.
That is sick.
Yeah, and like sometimes they'll initiate like dialogue between one of your party characters and that boss, because there are like a lot of big story bosses, and that carries over all the way into the final boss. If you initiate the secret objective, like, you get another like third form to the final boss. It's like crazy. So Tales of Vesperia is just like this super amazing JRPG that no one talks about from 2008, that got a PS3 re-release that only ever came out in Japan, kind of like the old school Final Mix versions of Kingdom Hearts. And like, Troy Baker, who voices the protagonist of that game, is on record saying that he recorded VO for the English port of that like PS3 enhanced edition with like 2 extra party members and all that. Like, they like finished that port to the United States, and it never came out, and I've been dying for it. Like,
dude, that's awesome.
Dying for it for 8 years since it came out in 2010, and they just like dropped this like on my head, and I couldn't handle it.
Were you anticipating it at all, or was this like left field
absolutely
for you?
Not.
That's
well, like
awesome.
last week that it leaked box art that Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition was coming, and like there was like a website that you can only get into with like a password that's now like the website for the game. So like that was a week before E3, and I'm like, this is crazy. Tales Fest is like the week after this. Like, maybe they'll announce it there. Rumors were saying it was going to be announced at E3, but to see it in an actual press conference was the most hype moment of E3 for me. And I can't describe to you how I already love like the incomplete version. The definitive edition with all the extra content is coming to the West this year, and they showed it during a press conference, which like it makes you feel how important this game is for the first time ever. It was amazing.
That's awesome. We got a couple comments in the chat. Moises said, "Guess I'm getting Vesperia." Do that, Moises. Dylan says Berseria is very good. Is very good though, and I don't know what any of these words mean.
All the Tales names are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Tales of Berseria is another one. It's the most recent one that's come out. It came out last year. It's very good. It is probably the second best Tales game, just behind Tales of Vesperia. So.
Awesome. Where's Tales of Symphonia at?
Tales of Symphonia, I would probably put at like 4 or 5. And keep in mind, there's like 15 games in the franchise, but like Symphonia, Tales of Vesperia is essentially like the same format as Symphonia, but like enhanced in every single regard. So it just plays better, it looks better, story's better, the way side quests work is better. It's just they took that same format and made it better in every way. So that's why, like, if I were to choose or if I were to tell you to play one, it would be Vesperia and not Symphonia, just because it's like that, but way better.
Interesting. I know nothing about these games, by the way. I'm just saying names.
Tales of Symphonia was a GameCube.
Just feeding the fire.
Yeah, dude. Tales of the Abyss. How deep do you want to go? Tales of Xillia or Tales of Xillia 2? Like,
how would you rank Tales from the Borderlands?
Tales from the Borderlands is probably a strong number 8. It's very good.
Gotcha. Awesome. John, what about you? What's your favorite thing from the show? Oh, wow. This dude's wearing the uniform. I see you.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot that really surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's obviously some surprises, but nothing that, like, we were hyping for a lot of stuff, and I don't think anything really delivered. Spider-Man was what I've been looking forward to, and everything looked exactly like what you think it looked like.
Yeah.
It's like Arkham flipped on its head, and Arkham Asylum, that game holds a special place in my heart because I remember when I played that first one, as soon as I was done the game, the credits rolled. The next thing I did was new game, hard. Let's do it again. I've never done that with any other video game where I've started immediately because I found that the way that game progressed, the combat, everything, the game was, I just love that, the way that game flowed. And now adding Spider-Man to that, how open the city is, how we haven't had a good Spider-Man game in, I don't know, 12, 15 years.
Man,
it's just really exciting. And
yeah, that was like 15,
I want to say
2016.
I want to say 2002,
yeah.
2004.
Yeah, so that's accurate.
2000. That's what I would say too.
Yeah, and then you have Insomniac behind it, so you know that the gameplay is going to be super tight, extremely cinematic. But I obviously worry that it might be too cinematic. But I have faith. This is actually going to be the first time I pre-order a digital game.
So when you say you worry that it's too cinematic, what does that mean for you? Because like I think I know where you're coming from because I feel a similar way. Because like there's a lot of things you see during the action that are like it's Spider-Man flipping and doing tricks and like transition, like he's like hopping from point to point and he's doing like a bunch of parkour stuff. And like I was talking on the OKB's podcast about like, man, I wonder what the button presses are looking like to do these things because like legit, like I think I heard that there's a parkour button that you can hold and he'll automatically do this stuff, and I want to know how involved the gameplay is. Is that similar to what you're talking about, or what is it?
No, that's exactly what I'm referring to. That you know, where it's not so. I think I heard Greg and Tim talking about this from Kind of Funny, that it's not too automatic, where it's just you're just running and it does everything for you. There's got to be a little bit more of an action involved to the point where you're not just like you said, it's just running and then everything happens. Because the way the transitions worked in the gameplay, it made it look like it was going from gameplay into a cinematic, back into gameplay, back into cinematic. It just worries me a little bit that might be too generated, but like I said, going back to it being Insomniac and playing a lot of their games, there's never been that kind of feeling. So I have faith. Their controls have always been pretty tight.
Yeah.
So I think they'll find a way. I think having a dedicated parkour button sounds right. That sounds like it could be something like, or it's the jump button, and the jump button, when you're holding it, adds to that.
Yeah. I think one thing I liked during Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, like to me, Spider-Man 2, I've said this before, is my perfect Spider-Man game. Like, I don't know if there can be a Spider-Man game that is better than Spider-Man 2. And so I'm excited for Spider-Man for PS4, but, like, my hopes are, like, man, I could play this, or I could just play Spider-Man 2. Because, like, it has a thing where if you repeatedly press X in the air, you do different tricks and flips and do all these cool acrobatic moves. And, like, as you're swinging, like, you can really feel the speed in the web swinging and all this stuff. And it looks like they're doing justice to that feel in this game. Like, as far as I can see, like, whenever I see them playing that game in an open world, my confidence in that game rises back up, because the swinging looks perfect, the world looks open, it looks like you gain that real sense of freedom in the swings. And then like the combat just looks off the chain. Like you said, it's taking it back to that Arkham feel, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and it's not like I don't remember which Spider-Man game had it, but where you're basically your webs are clinging to nothing and you're just riding off the sky. That's stupid. At least in this one, when he's chasing Shocker, you see he's swinging and then there's nothing left, and then something falls and he's able to grab onto that. Like that's the kind of shit that makes me excited for it. And another thing is, since I've kind of like gotten back into Spider-Man, thanks a lot, Marvel, I've been trying to dig into something new Spider-Man, something not so familiar. I tried to go back and read the Ultimate series, but all these stories, they feel so familiar. You've heard about Harry, you've heard about Doc Ock, these scenarios, they're all the same. You've seen them in the cartoons. This is a completely new thing. It's not connected to anything. It looks like we're getting a whole rogue gallery of villains. I'm hoping that they're going to give us a more original story, and they're not going to lean on anything too much. They're not going to lean on what has been done in comics and movies too much and try to do their own thing. I personally don't even know who I think it's Mr. Negative is one of the villains. I've never even heard of him. So I'm not a Spider-Man super fan, but it's one of I love Spider-Man out of all the Marvel heroes, right? So I've never even heard of him. So right then and there, I'm already getting a new story that I've never even heard before. Yeah, so that's the exciting part for me too. Is that we're getting that new story, and I fucking love that suit.
Do you like the White Spider? Because it's controversial.
Yes. No, man, I love it because everywhere you look, I'm not a big fan of the one that has like that little spider right here.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of that one. I like this logo, and I like how it's white because it pops so hard. And yeah, obviously as a hero, you don't want to pop up too much, but he's not Batman. He's not looking for stealth.
Yeah, no.
So it's okay to pop.
Yeah, and I also love the fact that there's multiple costumes. Like the stuff they show, the Iron Spider suit looks like it's gonna be sick. The janky sweatshirt Spider-Man suit looks like it's gonna be awesome. And I'm sure there's probably plenty more that you can choose from. And so I'm super hyped for Spider-Man. That's definitely one of the games this year that I'm looking forward to the most. And it's one of those things I'm trying to battle my own expectation. I'm trying to be like, okay, it's not gonna be Spider-Man 2. It's not gonna be Spider-Man 2. But it's okay if it's not Spider-Man 2.
It might be better.
It might be better. It could be better than Spider-Man 2. I just got to get Spider-Man 2 out of my head because I played that game for hundreds of hours as a kid, and so I've grown up with that ingrained into me being perfection. Sam, what about you? What's your favorite game from E3?
I was really convinced that I did not want to see Spider-Man at all. I'm probably one of the biggest Spider-Man fans I think there is, but man, when I saw that trailer, I was like, oh, give it to me more.
Yeah.
But I gotta go with The Last of Us.
Oh yeah.
Just that game also, I loved Last of Us, the first one, and this one I was like, yeah, cool, this will be fun. And then watching that trailer, just the level of detail, with even the strands of their hair, and it was just, and then it was beautiful, and then
yeah, the lip tech. Amazing. Yeah.
Talk about cheek tech. Let's go.
Man, yeah.
Give me that nose smush. No, but just the gameplay they showed, I'm hoping that wasn't, it's okay if I guess it's more scripted, but if it's not, the level of dynamicism or whatever, just the lady was checking under cars and then she gets popped in the face and then Ellie gets dragged out. If that's how the whole game is,
dude, I was talking to Moises about this, that on the podcast from yesterday, that if my assumption was that it was scripted, that was a cutscene kind of thing, but he was talking about it it was hey, what if that is what if that's a system? What if you can hide under cars now, or you can hide in certain spots now, and it then becomes detection and turns into stealth, and that adds more to the survival horror element. And thinking about that, that's crazy. Also, along with the fact that it looks like Ellie is a lot more mobile. It looks like it's not Joel felt heavy as a character because he's an old man, but there are points in the trailer where Ellie's dodging hits and all this stuff. And I don't know if it's like this or not, but I would love if there's a dodge button where you can hit if somebody's lunging towards you. That'd be awesome to have. She was definitely nimble. Yeah, she was super nimble, and so dodging, going into cars, vaulting over objects. If that's the transition that this game's gonna make from the first one, I'm totally sold, because I love that fast paced kind of action feel to it. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
We have a list of games that I mentioned here.
Can
And
we stop for one second? I want to give a shout out to a game called For Honor.
Oh, okay.
It came out, I think, 2016. It just got some new DLC, and I played it tonight, and it's fun.
Is that the Chinese one?
Yeah.
Wait, that's
They're
not
adding
Chinese?
No, I mean I played the original game. The DLC.
Okay.
Not out
Gotcha.
yet, I don't.
Gotcha.
Comes out this fall though, right?
Yeah, it comes
I
out
think
this
it's
fall.
coming out pretty soon.
It looks awesome. Like, I'm not a big For Honor person. I know a few people that are. Like, I know NATO absolutely loves For Honor. I know he's in the chat.
Just for NATO.
Yeah, he just nutted. For Honor, the new DLC looks awesome. And I was kind of surprised that it wasn't on Switch. Like, we didn't get an announcement on Switch. I was probably the only person expecting it. Because I was like, man, Ubisoft and Switch and Nintendo have a good relationship. Like, the Joy-Cons would work well with the swords. I don't know. I was just expecting it.
All the For Honor characters are in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate,
dude.
Everyone is in here.
Everyone is here, guys.
Speaking of Ultimate crossovers, let's talk about Kingdom Hearts 3. All right,
Yes.
because I know Alex O'Neill is a big Kingdom Hearts person, and let me tell you, like, apparently E3 is a very big Kingdom Hearts event. I tried to make it a thing, it didn't work. But Kingdom Hearts is at 3 different conferences this year, with 3 very, very trailers.
Different trailers.
Yeah.
At least they were different, though.
No,
it would have been stupid if they were the same.
I thought the second one was the same for a second.
Oh, it was.
But then
there
were a few
It's got a very
differences.
similar intro. A lot of Frozen crossover across the trailers.
Guys, just let it go.
Mickey's heart is in my heart.
Exactly.
Riku.
No,
I
get
don't
this blessing. There was a 4th trailer that was played when they announced the release date after the Kingdom Hearts concert. It was
God.
also a different trailer.
Jesus Christ.
So there were technically 4 different trailers. The thing is, everything that was in that like concert trailer was spread out throughout the 3 major trailers.
So what was your Kingdom Hearts trailer of the show?
The first one is very good because I love Frozen, and I know that's, I guess, not a popular opinion depending on who you're talking to. I mean, Frozen is enormous, but like I feel like everyone I know hates Frozen for whatever reason. It might be my favorite 3D Disney movie, like not including Pixar. And I know, again, contention over Frozen being the favorite. But
that's good music.
So that is really good music.
Yeah.
That first trailer was really great for like the Frozen reveal and Sora being like, "I'm an island boy." For the island boy line alone, strong showing. But I think I have to give it to the one that played during the PlayStation press conference, the final one where they unveiled the Pirates World is coming back, because it was crazy.
Dude, that ship combat looked like it could rival Skull and Bones.
Yeah, it looked good. It like genuinely looked good. Also, it's just like that is a mechanic that only exists in that world, and it looks very well thought out. It's just crazy.
It looks awesome. Like that was definitely one of the most where I was like, Jesus Christ, like they're really, I don't know where their thought process is at with marketing this game, but they're killing it. Like I love whatever they're doing with showing it at all these different conferences and showing off his ship combat, which looks ridiculous, and then showing off Sora grinding on a rainbow smoke road. Like all that stuff looked amazing to me. And where are you at with how the trailers were as far as like, because I feel like there's a lot of mixed reception as far as like the voices and the voice acting and kind of the story stuff. Where are you at with that?
I mean, a big thing is, and it was true of like previous Kingdom Hearts trailers, is like it's a lot of like movie trailer stuff type where they're not showing like the actual dialogue from that scene. And I've gotten better at telling just with Kingdom Hearts, having like I played 1 and 2 pretty recently, and just remembering like the trailers for that. And to be fair, like some of the dialogue in Kingdom Hearts, like when it's presented, can be pretty awkward. Like, and it's pretty true of a lot of JRPGs from like the PS2 era, of a lot of long cutscenes with no music but a lot of dialogue, and it's just like weirdly quiet. And it's like, well, I don't know how they would put music in this scene, but this is really awkward. So that's always been a bit of a part of what Kingdom Hearts is and some of its issues. What's cool is, I mean, I'll say also like the weird editing to show the theme song for Kingdom Hearts 3 and taking out all the sound effects. All that was bad. Like you could have just like either played the sound, like the music from those worlds, or just kept the sound effects in. I think it would have been okay. But I will say, like, they're putting a lot of like really smart hints for people that do know the story and are kind of following along, but like you still don't quite know what's happening, like the order of the events and stuff like that. Like, I'm sure eagle-eyed folks out there will notice like what Sora's wearing his Kingdom Hearts 2 outfit in this scene, and then he's wearing like his new outfit in other scenes and stuff like that. So like they're cutting it in a really smart way, and the organization, like the enemy characters that are returning, are giving just enough hints to like get me really excited. Obviously, I know people were either freaking out or did not know what was going on when like Aqua from Birth by Sleep showed up in that first trailer. So
I saw a hilarious clip of Twitter of a dude freaking out over Aqua.
Yep, I saw the same.
Yeah, and I was like, man, who's Aqua? Like, I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 3, so I had no idea what was going on, but that dude was very passionate about what was going on. And so that was awesome to see.
Yeah,
man,
it's good stuff, man. It is liquid hype just being injected directly into my veins. Awesome. They've shown a lot now is the thing, so it might be time to like go blackout until it comes out in January, but still I don't know how much they're going to show is the thing.
I think
I don't think they have to.
Now's the time that I think I'm going to jump into Kingdom Hearts 2, because like I played the first one back in high school, and like I tried replaying it again, but I was like, man, this doesn't really age that well in terms of gameplay. And like I pretty much know the story from the first one. The second one I've never touched, and I tried playing Chain of Memories because I have the whole collection, and I was like, I'm not vibing with Chain of Memories. I don't like this card thing. So I think I'm just gonna jump into Kingdom Hearts 2 because it was Alexa Ray Korea that she gave the whole order in which you should play the games, and she was like, if you're only gonna play one, like if you're really only gonna play one, then play Kingdom Hearts 2. And so
that's what I started on too.
Yeah?
I jumped into 2 first.
Awesome.
I only got about halfway through 1, but it was too hard for me because I was a lot younger. So then 3 years later, when 2 came out, I played 2 all the way through, and then went back to 1 and everything else.
So I think I'm gonna jump into that so I can get into Kingdom Hearts 3 because I'm hyped for it, but I'm not like Kingdom Hearts fan hyped for it. I'm just like casual person who likes Disney and likes kind of the whole style of Kingdom Hearts. That I'm that level hyped for it, and so yeah, I'm gonna jump into it. I haven't talked. Oh, go ahead.
They play super. I was just gonna say they play super well, so I think you'll still have a lot of fun.
Awesome. So we're on round 3, of course, of our E3 live show. I haven't talked about my game of the show yet, which is Smash Brothers. And I'm surprised nobody else mentioned it. Smash Brothers was totally for me like the game that hyped me up the most, the thing that like gave me goosebumps during the whole breakdown of it, and I love the build up for it during the direct of like, hey. Sakurai came out, or I don't know if it was Sakurai or somebody else, but somebody came out with like, hey, each of the numbers next to the names is going to represent where they came in the series. And so they start off with 1, Mario, 2, whoever, and they jump numbers, and they started showing off different people from the different series. And then they started showing off weird people. They're like, oh, here's Mewtwo. Mewtwo's back. And I was like, oh, cool, Mewtwo. And then they're like, oh, here's, I don't know, here's Wolf. And I was like, oh, Wolf. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Here's this person. Here's that person. I was like, oh, they're back. That's awesome. Wait, Cloud's back? Oh, okay, cool. They showed, they showed Ryu. And I was like, oh, snap. They got Cloud and Ryu. That's awesome. Then they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, here's Snake. And, like, I started freaking out. And then they had that caption of, like, everyone
is here.
Everyone is here. And I was like, wait, they don't mean everyone. And then they showed Young Link, Toon Link, and Breath of the Wild Link, and I was like, oh, they really mean everyone. Like, everyone is here. And man, it was one of those things of like, I mean, I didn't think they could do this. Like leading up to Smash, before they announced it at the last direct, I was like, man, if they do Smash, like, I want them to do Smash soon because I really want them to announce a port, because if it's not a port, I don't think they can get back all those same characters, right? But I was also like, man, I would like an upgraded new Smash Brothers, and seeing this roster and seeing that's new Smash Brothers is legit. Like, I didn't think this was a possible thing that could happen.
Yo,
you know, like I didn't think it was a possible thing that could happen, and then they ended it all with that reveal of Ridley in Smash, which is like the perfect cherry on top of just allowing the meme to become true and putting it in there. Are you guys big Smash fans at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Smash.
I'm the only person here that's in the middle, because
Okay.
I got the Wii U one sorry, I just took over the conversation. I got the Wii U one, and I was really into it for a while. But my problem with fighting games is I get into them, and just as fast as I get into them, I get out of them. Within a couple months, I was over it. Since Smash has been announced, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna step this one out. Even me though, after watching that trailer, I got real hyped.
Yeah,
I got pretty hyped.
It's impossible not to. It's the subtitle is literally ultimate. Like, come on.
Exactly. I mean, like, I know people are saying that there will be more DLC, and it would be good to have more characters because otherwise, you're not. The only thing that's new is, just Ridley. And to me, that reveal actually kind of fell flat because I feel, I don't know who else they could have introduced. I don't feel like Ridley is really a big one because we got someone from the Metroid series. Try someone from a different series to kind of pop out. So I didn't feel like that was the strongest reveal.
The big thing is like Ridley has like been a running joke in the Smash Brothers community for so long.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's like ever since I think Melee came out, the fans have been begging for him, and like Sakurai has directly responded and be like, "No, he's too big. He's too big," and it's like been the "he's too big" joke. So then Ridley shows up, and the comment is Ridley hits the big time, and it's just like this really dumb like acknowledgement to the fans, like the 1-2 punch, like it's Ridley hit the big time.
Dude,
it's just so dumb, but so good.
It's so dumb, but it worked. Like, and like there is the running thing of Ridley's been in every single Smash game. Like, he was in the first game in like the background of Planet Zebes. I don't know how to pronounce it. He was there. He was in Melee as I forget what he was at. Where he was in Melee. He was in Melee though. I'm pretty sure.
He was in Wii U on a stage 2, I believe.
Yeah, he was a stage hazard in
Wii U. He was 2 bosses in Brawl. He was 2 distinct boss fights.
Like, he's out of any non-Smash character, he's had the most presence in Smash. And so it's awesome to see them like actually like give honor to that and bring him in. And like, dude, I've been watching some of the gameplay. He looks ridiculous, man. Like,
he looks super overpowered.
Like, he looks like he has this. I think his side B. Or his side special is he grabs the opponent and then like drags them across the stage and then launches them, and like the distance they go, the distance the person goes, even at zero percentage, is like still crazy. Dude, like even in the reveal, my favorite part was him impaling Mega Man and then impaling Mario. Of like
that was dark.
He grabbed Mario's head and crushed it.
Yeah, like that dude.
Super dark.
He just stabbed each character like it was a shadow, but you saw his tail just go right through them.
Yeah, it's the thing I love about Smash the most is that it's ridiculous. And I kind of. Okay.
I was gonna say what's cool is like that tail slash like stab he did to Mega Man and the head grab are 2 of his special moves from Smash Brothers too.
Well, there you go,
dude. That's awesome.
Like that. Yeah, that thing you're talking about, Blessing, like his side special of grabbing someone. That's what he did to Mario. It's like holy shit.
I didn't even think about that. That's super cool, man. But yeah, Smash is awesome. There was another game from the Nintendo Direct. Actually, no. I want to talk about Pokemon Let's Go. Are any of you guys into Pokemon?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I am.
Where are you guys at?
I'm
out of it.
You're not a fan, Alex?
No, I'm here for it.
Okay.
I'm ready to get back into Pokemon because I got out of it right when Gold came out because I just fell off of it. And I've been trying to get back into it. I debated going back and playing every single one from Gold to Sun and Moon, but I've been told it's quite the daunting task to not do that.
Yeah.
Some people suggested, you know what, just catch up to the current gen and just start playing. I have Ultra Sun on my 3DS, so a lot of people just told me just go straight to that. So I am worried about Let's Go Pokemon, but I know it's a little bit more of a casual game, so that might be a good game to also get me back into it as well. So I'm semi excited for it.
In the chat, NATO says Mario's death made me hard, and so shout out to NATO.
In true NATO fashion.
It made my nipples hard. Like I think I get what NATO's going for.
I can hear NATO laughing to that right now.
It's just shocking that Nintendo's willing to just murder their favorite characters. Like it's
absolutely
awesome.
Not just their favorite character, but also Capcom's favorite character.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
We're gonna kill that kid too.
They straight up murdered Mega Man, like murdered him. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of Pokemon gameplay from the Nintendo Treehouse, and like it's been resonating with me in a weird way as like somebody who's not been into Pokemon since Ruby Sapphire. That was a 3rd gen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody who's not been into Pokemon really since then, like I've been looking for my chance to get back in, and I haven't had the 3DS, I haven't had the DS or the latest Nintendo handhelds, and so I just haven't had the opportunity. And so for them to come back with Let's Go and to have it like, I think my favorite thing from watching the Treehouse streams is that it's the same music from Yellow, and it's the same like they're walking around Viridian Forest. Music was the same. The trainers, like they had Bugcatcher and all these guys. I don't know if Bugcatcher is still in Pokemon. I assume he is because I feel I feel like that's a character that needs to have a good presence in a Pokemon game. But yeah, like they showed off some battles. They showed off catching Pokemon, and like I still don't like the Pokemon Go style wild Pokemon catching thing, but
that's what I wanted to comment on.
Yeah, like that's still weird to me, but I understand why they did it, and I'm not too mad at it, knowing that there's a Pokemon next year. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Where are you guys at with how it's sort of set up in terms of gameplay? Alex?
Because I did the same thing. I was like, when they announced Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, I was like hard out. Like, boy, this does not look great. But you know, they damage control. They're like the next gen's coming after like next year.
Yeah.
But watching the Treehouse like gameplay stream, I was like, because I never played Fire Red and Leaf Green. Like, I've never gone back to the original Pokemon, and like Yellow was the version of that game that I played because I was like the third brother, and both my older brothers got Red and Blue, and then I got Yellow, and that's kind of how it played out for a few Pokemon generations. Though. Yeah. So I love Pokemon Yellow. So them like specifically remaking that game, having the Pikachu on your shoulder the whole time is super adorable. And just like it just seems super laid back. Watching the gameplay of it, of like, you know, throw the Pokeball, whatever, but you get tons of experience for all your party members when you catch a Pokemon. Like, you're not really fighting wild Pokemon anymore. It's easier to avoid them, and Pokemon battles are still Pokemon battles. Like, it seems like a kind of more casual experience, but I'm also kind of okay with that, since for the most part playing that game would be me just kind of going on a nostalgia trip for Pokemon Yellow. And I don't know, like I was way more open to it, seeing it like be played so casually, and seeing that the mechanics kind of support that. Like, I'm more into the idea now that I've seen it being played.
I want to take a hard left turn into a little game called Tetris Effect, because not many people are talking about this game because it wasn't really at E3. It was one of the pre-E3 PlayStation countdown lead up announced games, and it is, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's the guy behind Res Infinite and Lumines. I think it was Mitsuguchi. I think that might be his name.
Yeah.
I might have butchered it, but
Mitsuguchi.
Yeah, him. He's behind Tetris Effect, and the trailer looks super cool. It's VR and non-VR, and essentially like it's Tetris with super cool music and super cool visuals. And I'm all about this game, and I am super hyped for it. Do any of you guys have a specific like affection towards Tetris Effect, or is it just me?
The original is, I grew up on that. I've always been trying to get into one of the newer Tetrises, but I still have the original on GBA, not on my GBA, but you know, it's the original Game Boy version, and my wife plays it all the time. I've always wanted to get a new version to play, but nothing ever grabbed me. This new one looks goddamn intense.
It looks awesome.
I wish I had VR.
I like. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Bless.
No, I was gonna say, could you imagine playing Tetris in VR? Like, that seems like the last.
We don't have to imagine. We're living in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's the crazy thing about video games in 2018 is that all our dreams have pretty much been answered at this point.
Dude, dreams, Tales of Vesperia is coming back, y'all. Dreams come true.
That's all that matters.
I'd be remiss because I have to represent Irrational Passions here. My boy George Cruz, his most anticipated game coming out of E3 is Tetris Effect.
Yeah.
Because he loved Mitsuguchi, and like I none of his games have really spoke to me. Like, I played a very little bit of the original Res, and I was like, cool, that's fine. I never got to play Res Infinite. I never played. They did that Connect game that I can't think of the name of. Not Connectimals.
I know what you're talking about because I literally just played it last week for some reason.
Oh wow, deep cuts.
Yeah.
And I never played Lumines 1 or 2.
Child of Eden.
Child of Eden,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Good pull.
That was Child of Eden was good.
Yeah, so like I've never gotten into his very Synthesia style of game. Like he has a super specific thing that he's going for, especially like he's got that vibrating suit thing that he was doing for Res Infinite and all that. But I love Tetris. Like Tetris of like that classic arcade style game is probably my all-time favorite. It's something I still play on my phone like every other day. If I need like just something mindless to play, like I will play Tetris, and it's one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
That I just it's one. Everyone has their arcade game that they love, whether it be like Pac-Man or whatever. For me, it's Tetris, and I'm like super excited to see like a game I actually really love finally get that kind of his Mitsuguchi style and finesse. So I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, Tetris is one of those games where like any form of Tetris I'm willing to play, but like man, a music cool like weird visual version of Tetris, like I'm totally down for, because I think I'm with you that I think Tetris is I never use the word perfect when describing video games. I don't think there's a such thing as a perfect video game, but I think Tetris might be a perfect video game. Like it is just so like clear cut. Like it's like the way I describe it is this, right? If video games lived, if there's an alien planet with video games on them, like they also created video games, Tetris is probably a video game on that alien planet. Like we both probably can't. Like I feel like wherever video games exist, Tetris probably exists because it's such. It is so singular and it makes sense. So yeah, Tetris Effect is awesome. Are any of you guys into Captain Spirit?
I am.
From the Life is Strange
I don't know
devs.
what this is. Oh,
so, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think it'd be cool.
Captain Spirit is essentially the Life is Strange spin-off kind of game from Don't Nod Entertainment. They announced it at the Xbox conference, and it's like this weird, I think, one-off episode of like this. It's a story about a child that has an imagination and a father. Like it's weird. I'm one of those people that's into Life is Strange. And I think it's been very fun watching Don't Nod kind of stretch their wings, because sometimes they hit like Life is Strange, sometimes they have maybe minor misses like Vampire or Remember Me. In fact, I don't even know what the reception really is to Vampire. I don't know if it's a miss or not, but it seems like reception is kind of mixed on it from what I've seen.
It seems like kind of like a swimming in sevens kind of game.
Yeah.
If you've ever heard that expression, and that's fine. Like I think, as far as like an attempt at like an RPG, an action RPG like that, it was better received than Remember Me was. And I know a lot of people like that game, or I'll say a very small passionate amount of people like that game. But they're getting better with that kind of game. I think their like take on adventure stuff is still the best.
And like this E3 they've announced two, right? So they announced Captain Spirit, and they also announced Twin Mirror, which is another one of those PlayStation Countdown lead up games. And they also have Life is Strange 2 in the works, and so they're pretty busy. And like they're very much striking me as a Telltale kind of, like they're becoming Telltale slowly but surely, except they're not doing licensed games. They're really creating their own ideas, which I think is super cool. But yeah, Alex, where are you at with Captain Spirit? Does it look cool to you? Is it something that you're gonna check out?
Absolutely. Life is Strange was my game of the year for 2015. I love that game. It like really affected me. And there is like some it comes from the faith I have from playing and loving Life is Strange, but like I have so much faith in them to deliver on that kind of hokey story that they're telling with Captain Spirit. And I don't mean to say that in like a reductive way. I mean like it's about channeling this childlike wonderment, like seeing him like light the firecracker in a snowman's face and then pretend like he blew it out with magic powers. Like there's just something in that I am like connecting with and vibing with really strong. And I think Life is Strange, the Don't Nod is like the right team to try and play with those feelings and channel those feelings. I think like they can genuinely do it. It's free. It's like a prequel lead up to Life is Strange 2. Like they said that characters from this might appear in whatever Life is Strange 2 ends up being.
Yeah.
And it's also like at its heart this story about this father and son that they lost the mother, the wife, and like them kind of repairing that relationship afterwards. And I'm really excited to see where they go with that.
Another game I want to talk about is a little game called Control. which showed up at the PlayStation conference. It was like a kind of a
All
baller
the
moment.
bangers, man.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's funny because we're talking about. I think it was last. I don't know if we were talking about it this round or last round. They all meshed together for me at this point. I don't know how you do 3-hour podcasts, Alex O'Neill. I don't know how you do it at all.
Let's do it.
My body is breaking down. So
Yeah.
we talked about Ninja Theory being acquired by Xbox and like how crazy that was for them. And for me, like seeing Remedy come out on the PlayStation stage to announce Control was a cool like back and forth kind of 1-2 punch. Let me ask you, Sam. How are you feeling about Control? Does it look cool to you?
I don't know. I mean, I played a little bit of Alan Wake and too scary for me. And I have Quantum Break like just sitting in my Steam library. But I mean, it looks cool. Like the gun like moving around, that looks rad. Like the story seems pretty interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Will I play it? Maybe if it's like a Steam sale game that I can get. But I don't know. I'm not super hyped on it, I guess.
I feel like for me, I'm at the place where it's like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme of like at first you had my attention, or no, you had my something, now you have my something. I don't know what the words are. You had my interest, now you have my attention.
Anybody in the chat?
Somebody in the chat, let me know what the Leonardo
Somebody say
DiCaprio
blessed and
quote.
he's sinking.
I am
He's falling
sinking.
apart.
It's been 3 hours and I'm ready to eat a frozen burrito. So, but Control looks like it has me hooked. It just needs to sell me now. Like you have my eyes, just grab my heart at this point.
Have you heard folks talking about it yet?
Not really. I don't think I've heard anybody talking about it.
The Easy Allies have a really great conversation about it. Like 4 of them got to go see it, and they just have like a
Awesome.
big group conversation about it, which I highly recommend because they go into details. Like it apparently all takes place in this one building. And the environment changes so rapidly, and it's designed like a Metroidvania.
Oh shoot!
In that you're getting more abilities as the director, who has access to like these superpowers. Like only the director of this company, the National Bureau of Control, I believe is what it takes place in.
It's a game title.
And like you, Jesse, the director, she has like the hovering and floating abilities, and you get more of those as the game progresses and lets you access new areas of the building. I think it's called like the Oldest House is the name of the building that you're in, and like just this deep underground institution. So it sounds like super way up my alley, and I love Remedy so much. Like their weird, buck wild, crazy attempts at making video games have always hit for me. Like Quantum Break was the weakest entry in that because of the whole TV show aspect of it, but I still really liked it. Yeah, Control seems really, really cool.
That's awesome. I love the style of it. That looks super cool. Let's see. The chat is kind of wilding out right now.
We got the quote.
Oh yeah, we got the quote.
My interest, but now you have my attention.
You have my interest. You had my interest. Now you have my attention. Thank you, Fiona Mackinnon, for that.
There you go.
Moises said something dark side.
Yep.
Alex is in the chat. He said this is a train wreck.
Hey.
NATO said fee with the alley-oop. And Dylan said Jesus. So before we wrap this up, I've been asking everybody this: who won E3 for you? Let's start off with John.
Winning E3 is I don't really feel. I feel like a lot of people had expectations for every single conference that was out there, and every expectation for the most part I don't feel was met based on what everyone hyped. You know, little things like, Alex, you got your Tales Definitive Edition. You know, there's things like that. You got what you wanted, but a lot of things that were rumored to be hyped weren't even close to signaled, and I feel like that let a lot of people down. Mind you, that's probably our own fault for hyping it up. Back to your original question, if am I judging it on presentation alone, just like the actual conference itself?
You can judge on, go with your heart.
Okay, so I'll take you on a little trip here. I'll try to make it quick. I'm gonna judge it based on how I was entertained and what I felt was enjoyable to watch. Obviously, if I'm gonna go off what had the games that excited me, I'm gonna go with the obvious, which is PlayStation. They showed the games I wanted to see. I'm a PlayStation user. They have games there that no other conference had. The games you're seeing there, you're only playing on PlayStation. So, and mind you, I didn't really care for Death Stranding. But
man, that hurts. That hurts me.
I'm sorry.
You're not a
Sidebar-
fan of Norman Reedus? You're not a fan of
No.
Hideo Kojima? Are
I'm
you not a
fan of
fan of
Norman
Mads
Reedus.
Nicholson?
I'm a fan of Norman Reedus because I love the Boondock Saints.
So
I
you're
don't know
hating
if
on
anyone-
walking sims. That's what you're doing. Or
What-
big
no,
open worlds.
not-
No, I'm playing.
My problem is that the game has been hyped from the get-go, and I love Kojima, but I don't like getting hyped over trailers that show me zero about the game. That's a side topic for another day. Have me on the podcast, I'll talk about that another day. But yes, about winning E3, Sony showed all the games, but the one I was entertained with the most was Microsoft. I don't own an Xbox, and I know a lot of those things were third parties, but they did what Sony did either the year before or the year before that, where it was just this constantly back and forth. The pacing was great, aside from a few times where it went down, but for the most part, it was entertaining from front to back. Like I said, I have no real estate in Xbox, and I watched every minute of it. Whereas Sony, I kind of phased in and out as I was watching. Because I'm like, yeah, this is Spider-Man. I know what I'm getting. Last of Us looks great, but I know what I'm getting. That Ghost of Samurai, whatever game, I'm pass on. But you know what you're getting with those.
Coming up with that
the
fire.
Ghost of Tsushima diss right there.
Man, that dude is
John spit some fire.
going ham. Man, I didn't know you were Pusha T and Ghost of Tsushima was Drake.
I better turn off my Twitter notifications for the night at this point.
Yep.
Man, Ghost of Tsushima has a son.
Microsoft won, and when it comes to entertaining me, PlayStation won with the games, but we knew what games were going to be there. So I hope that answers your question in a long way.
For sure. Alex Bartholomew O'Neill. What about you? I don't know if that's your real name. That was a guess.
Not even close.
Not even close.
It's Lewis.
Oh, that's easy.
I think I knew that.
That's a lot easier. I thought it was just O.
That's what the
it's O.
That's what the
It's
second
what my
L
middle name
stands
is.
for in O'Neill.
Yeah. Finally, we have an answer. Why are there two L's? I mean, for me, what's great is I think Nintendo might have had the weakest showing just because like they don't have a lot coming out in the next 6 months. It feels not a lot that I'm super stoked about, but they made up for it with 25 actual minutes of Super Smash Brothers for me, which is much like Kingdom Hearts, that liquid IV drip of hype directly into your veins until your eyes are popping out. I didn't get to say much, but like Smash Brothers is like a really important place in my heart. Irrational Passions would not exist without Super Smash Brothers. And like, that trailer where they just go number by number blessing.
Oh my God.
It's literally, you can feel your heart start racing faster while you're watching it. But what I was going to say is like, even if Nintendo had the weakest showing, I think all three of the big three had great shows, but I still think Microsoft just stole the cake. And it's not just because they announced Tales of Vesperia, which is like, and they put it on stage is the thing.
Yeah.
If I can make a quick plug real quick, I wrote an article about why Tales of Vesperia being reannounced is super important, and it published just before I came on this show.
Awesome.
So you can read that on irrationalpassions.com, inspired by these good boys at OKBeast. But it was like they had like maybe 10 things that I was really excited about. On top of like, there was just a level of genuineness. I love Phil Spencer so much. He's like my favorite of the representatives for each of the companies. Like, he's just so earnest and genuine and down to earth. And like, when he talks, he doesn't bullshit. Like, the like interview he had with Jeff Gerstmann is out there, that happened just before I came on this. So like, you can go watch that and get a real feel for him. So him coming out and just saying, we like to announce stuff, like we like to show stuff for the first time here because we think that's what E3 is all about, which is, I think that was implied through what Sony was doing a few years ago with their big Eurodreams Hype Fest. But like Phil just coming out and just saying that, like, I understand a lot of this is third party. I understand a lot of this is coming to other platforms, but we like to be the ones to get to show it to you. And there was just an excitement that brought for me, and a genuineness to go with it that made me feel good about it. But like, I have an Xbox One X. I invested in that. And I've never been more happy to own one, not just for the games that they showed that are coming from them, but also like hearing their 5 new studios and hearing about like Ninja Theory being on Xbox going forward and the initiative making something big and crazy going forward. Like I felt so much heart and soul in that show, from their Game Pass stuff to the games they showed to the announcements they made to Phil coming out there and just being down to earth. It was a phenomenal show, I think.
Awesome. Sam Lewis Atherton, what about you?
I was thinking about this. Do you think that Phil Spencer and who's the guy at Sony? Is it Sean Layden still?
Yeah,
is
Sean
that his
Layden.
name? Do you think they like talk to each other and are like, yo, Sony is like, we're not gonna announce anything this year. You guys have this one.
Yeah, you guys
Like,
have
that's
all the
something-
third parties.
Like, do you think that they like talk a little bit?
This kind of plays into my answer, is that like I think Sony has shifted their strategy so much toward, hey, we're doing us and we're showing you like we're going to flex the arms of PlayStation and PlayStation only, and our content partners being like Activision, and like we're going to show you our games, and we're going to show you why our games are art, and we're gonna put it in church, and we're gonna preach to you, and you're gonna take it in, and we're all gonna say a prayer together. We're gonna take some communion, and it's gonna be great. And that like just leaves like a wide open space for Xbox to come through and be like, hey, like everybody come announce your games over here. Like, yo, we got space. Like, we got games, and we'll all hang out together and have some fun. And so I think it's just like, I think it's almost convenience and almost like a bad play on Sony to like only really show their games.
Yeah, I mean that's why I think I think Microsoft won. Like there were so many like, are you kidding me? Right now, moments like DMC, Tales of Vesperia, like Cyberpunk 2077 was nuts.
Yeah,
so I think it was Microsoft for me.
Yeah, and like my original plan, because I haven't. This is my answer for this question. Like I was gonna come out originally and be like, oh man, I think Nintendo, PlayStation, and Microsoft all won because they all killed it and whatever. But like, no, the answer is Microsoft. Like I can't even front. Like after thinking about it and after talking about it, like I do think that like. I've been saying this all week that the word is expectation when it comes to these E3 press conferences. Like PlayStation came out and they're like, hey, they came out weeks ago and they're like, hey, we're gonna talk about 4 games, and they came and the way they messaged it, like I've been telling people like, hey, they're gonna bust out couches, they're gonna do extended developer interviews, it's gonna be like PSX. Thankfully it wasn't that, but they still did come out and they did do the thing of like they focused on those 4 games the most, and they showed awesome stuff for all those games, and those are all games that appeal to me directly, and so like. If I had to choose one conference to happen during E3, I'd probably choose either Nintendo or PlayStation, because like those games meant the most to me between Smash and the 4 games that PlayStation showed. But like Microsoft, dude, they had a thing to say, right? Like they had something to come out and say, and they said it. And the thing that really like bumped Microsoft up to like killing it this E3 is the fact that like they came out and they said, hey, we bought 5 studios. Like we acquired 5 studios. Yeah. We made a new studio. We got Playground. We got We Happy Few People, Compulsion. We got Ninja Theory being like a huge one, and we got whatever 5th one I'm forgetting right now.
Undead.
Yeah, Undead. And we got Undead Labs. Like, hey, we're not playing around. Like we know where the holes are in our ecosystem, and we're trying to fill them. Like they're going at it hard, and I think they're going at it from the right directions. And I'm really trying not to make an innuendo, but every sentence that comes to mind is some kind of innuendo. But I'm going with it because Microsoft killed it. So yeah, shout out to Microsoft. Also, shout out to you guys.
Shout out to you guys, man.
Shout out to Blessing Adeoye right now for still standing right here.
Man, I'm ready for my head to the pillow.
You're gonna hit end, and then you're just gonna crash on that bed.
I'm just
right?
gonna lie down
sideways, and he's not even gonna hang up the call. We're just gonna have to leave.
That's gonna be the live show. We're gonna watch Blessing sleep. That's the live show right there.
Oh yeah, that's round 4 of the live show. Is me sleeping.
You guys, Kingdom Hearts won E3. They had the most trailers.
They're basically their own entity at this point.
They do have their own score.
Like,
they got, like you said, it's like 3 against 1.
If they had a conference, they would have had the same amount of trailers as EA. Like, they killed it. Which, man, I forgot to talk about Jedi Fallen Order. That was a thing that happened.
Oh my god.
That was definitely a thing that happened.
Lightsabers.
It's lightsabers.
That was easily the worst announcement of the E3 for like the last, I want to say, 8 years.
Yeah, that's like going back to the Mass Effect 3 like concept art announcement. It's rough.
Dude, I wish Andrea Renee was just like, hey, what's wrong with you? Like, why don't you talk like a regular human being? Like, I'm sorry, like, no hate towards Vince. Like, I'm sure Vince is an awesome guy. He's making some dope games, but man, you look high, dude. look super high during that announcement. But yeah,
and I love the joke that everyone said that Vince had thought of that on the spot, and that was him pitching it to EA.
And you watch it back, and it makes total sense. Like,
it's like why would you announce a Star Wars game, the biggest license in gaming, and you don't even have a splash screen for it? Like,
it don't have a logo.
Even Bethesda, that pissed me off with Bethesda, where they just had like the two. Here's like a game, and it's just that's all it was. 5 seconds of a title. You couldn't have done that for Star Wars.
Yeah,
Nothing.
and that would have generated a lot of hype. Like it's super confusing, and especially for a game that's set to come out next year. But who knows what they're thinking over there? Who knows?
That game's supposed to come out next year?
Yeah.
Next winter.
I mean, it's exciting in the fact that we won't see anything probably until next E3.
Yeah.
So at least it'll be one of those that's coming out in 6 months. But I don't know. Why did EA have to buy the fucking license?
We get this long trailer for Gears of War 5, which also won't be out until next fall. And somehow Star Wars Fallen Jedi or whatever is just a name.
It's announced from the audience. Like, what is
it's
happening?
Not even a logo. There's no actual key art for that game at all.
And Vince looks like he's scheming the whole time. He looks like a kid that just stole a cookie out of a cookie jar. And like it looks like he knows he's not supposed to be announcing it, but he is anyway. Like that's the expression and the kind of like delivery he gave. Man, it was so weird.
The photo that's circulating the internet is just Star Wars, and then it just says Respawn Entertainment under it, and Lucas. Like that's all it says.
Yeah,
under
there's no logo for this game.
That's the one I used for the video that we put up on OKB. So I just popped it in there, where it's just that image.
Is awesome
because that's all it is.
So before we end this, I want to give a shout out to Alex's video that's going up right after this show. It's a video all about Gears tactics, and so it's part of our E3 video coverage. We got a video up every single day this week, and it's been killing us. But you know, that's what we do for you guys.
Your Cyberpunk videos
games are awesome.
Good, though.
Thanks, dude. Yeah. I'm really proud of that video. And then I made a video that I'm working on right now. That man, we're gonna see where this one goes, guys. It's been a long week, and so. It's funny how the content goes from great to good to whatever comes out Friday is going to be some type of special.
To it's been a long week.
It's going to be the thumbnail is just going to be like, it's been a long week. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. You can, of course, find me on Twitter at Blessing Jr. You can find OKBeast on Twitter at OKBeast Now. You can find Alex O'Neill on Twitter at Alex O'Neill.
At Alfighter27.
I don't know why I couldn't think of that. I was like, I don't think it's Alex.
It's right up there. It's right up there in the freaking video chat.
That's awesome. What about you, John? Where can they find you on Twitter?
At John S. Bernardo.
Awesome. And Sam?
Catch Awkward Pause and Gone Gold at Awkpause. And you can find me at Superior's Math.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys out there watching for joining us. And we'll see you in the ether.
Yes.